Chapter 2572. Lu Hao had a new goal and quickly became spirited. All roads lead to Rome. If there wasn't this path, he could take another path. However, after dropping so many levels, the system had taken back many things that it had given him, such as retentive memory and supermemory. Relying on these skills, Lu Hao noticed many details. Whether it was when he interacted with his colleagues or what the woman in the backyard said, he remembered them all very clearly. If his colleagues had anything to say, he would remember it in his heart. Next time, he would bring what his colleagues needed. This feeling of just casually saying it, but you remember it in your heart, was really too good. It made people feel that they were valued. Now that he didn't have these skills, Lu Hao felt that his memory had become blurry. He couldn't remember many details, and his mind became blurry. He couldn't even remember the 4 books and 5 classics that he had read before. This made Lu Hao a little unhappy. Now, he had to start from the beginning again. Lu Hao adjusted his mood. As long as the system was here, he would be able to make a comeback very quickly. However, the princess was in a very low mood. She had been forced to drink red flowers by her husband, and now, she had been abandoned by her father. Although her father didn't punish her, he made her leave the capital and never return to the capital again in this life. In the past, there had been princesses who had been sent to a barbarian land for political marriage. The princess thought that such a fate wouldn't fall on her head. However, the current situation was no different from sending her to a political marriage. Her father was impatient with her. However, she was really wronged by someone. It was that woman in the backyard. However, no matter how much he cared, her father wouldn't take back his order. Her father was probably more worried about who had tampered with his clothes. He didn't care about his daughter at all. Ning Shu returned to the Lu residence and went to the courtyard to get things. He also went with Lu Hao to the Yamen to get the divorce papers done. Only by getting the divorce papers done could it be considered a divorce. Lu Hao saw Ning Shu and said coldly, "Are you happy to have caused the Lu residence to be like this?" Ning Shu immediately put on an aggrieved expression. "Lu Hao, how can you say that? I'm willing to die for your future. It's just that when I was in prison, I thought it through. If I were still alive, I would divorce you. I couldn't bear to see you put one woman after another into the backyard. I was clearly the main wife, but you demoted me to a concubine. If it weren't for the fact that you didn't want to offend the princess, would you say that the women in the backyard were equal? If the princess is the main wife, will you say that all the women in the harem are equal? Lu Hao, so you're jealous. If your woman has many men, will you be jealous? How is this the same?" It was indeed different. Since ancient times, men had always harbored the desire to capture all the beauties in the world. Actually, this was determined by their genes. They instinctively wanted to pass down more of their genes. There's no point in discussing it now. Once you get the divorce papers, you can make the princess your first wife. Kill this bitch for me. The princess rushed over and pointed at Ning Shu. Beside her were several guards with swords. The guards pulled out their swords and Ning Shu walked over. The princess's face was pale and she had lost a lot of weight. Because the pain in her abdomen had lasted for a long time, she was tormented. At this moment, looking at Ning Shu, her face was full of hatred and disgust. Lu Hao frowned and stopped the princess. "Don't make a fuss." Even if he wanted to start a rebellion, he needed to leave the capital and go to Mountain Stone Town for a while. He also needed a good reputation. Now that Pan Wenlan was killed, what was this? The princess somewhat broke down and shouted, "Lu Hao, are you still going to protect her?" She patted her chest weakly. "I'm a princess. I've done so much for you. You can't even see it. Why are you protecting her?" She was abandoned by her father. Now, she had to go to a remote village and never see the prosperity of the capital again. It was bad for her body. The princess felt wronged. Ning Shu's face was indifferent. Everyone felt wronged. She was the one who felt wronged. She even had to take the blame for these 2 bastards. The guards stood motionless. They didn't know what to do, so they just stood there. No matter how disappointed the emperor was with his daughter, he knew that the atmosphere in Mountain Stone Town wasn't good. He still sent a pair of guards to escort her. At this time, it wasn't a bad thing to stay away. But the princess couldn't feel it. The pain in her body made her lose her mind. It reminded her at every moment that she was forced to drink red flowers by her husband. Now, her husband was still protecting this woman. Jealousy made people dizzy. "Let's go to the yamen," Ning Shu said to Lu Hao indifferently. "You're not allowed to go." The princess shouted. "I'm going to write the divorce papers with Lu Hao. Are you sure you don't want him to go with me? If you don't go, I'll always be Lu Hao's wife and you'll always be his concubine." The princess's words were stuck in her throat. "Also, it's best if you don't fight with me. I've already written my will. If I die, even if you kill me, don't try to hurt my family. My family has all written their wills. Small commoners like us don't deserve to die. But if the emperor knows that you're so cruel that you killed an entire family, I don't know if he'll still recognize you as his daughter. He might even kill you." The princess was so angry that her liver hurt. She was so angry that her whole body trembled. She kept cursing. Ning Shu ignored her and turned to leave. Lu Hao walked out the door with her. "When I went to see you in prison, why didn't you do it?" "She didn't directly commit suicide," Ning Shu said indifferently. "Even ants drag out their lives. I want to go through a trial. If I die, I have nothing to say. But if I don't die, I want to divorce you." How could Lu Hao not hate this woman in his heart? Since she wanted to divorce, then so be it. In this era, women who divorced would be criticized behind their backs. Let's see if you continue living like this. Lu Hao thought that one day when he became the ruler of the world, this woman would definitely come back and beg for his forgiveness. Because it was the emperor who ordered the separation, it was done very quickly. The two of them had nothing to do with each other anymore. They were no longer husband and wife. After leaving the government office, Ning Shu left. He was not afraid that these people would dare to fight with him, unless Lu Hao didn't want to leave the capital. When he returned to the shop, Squire Pan had already arranged to sell the shop. He probably wouldn't come back to the capital in the future. He packed up his things and prepared to leave the capital. Outside the gate of the capital, he met a Jianghu man dressed in black with a sword. Squire Pan patted his shoulder and introduced him. "This is Hua Yang. He's a Jianghu man. This time I asked him to protect us home. I can't live in the old place anymore. I moved to another place." Apparently, Squire Pan was a little afraid of the princess's revenge. Lu Hao's revenge. Squire Pan liked to make friends. If someone was in trouble, he would like to help. Lu Hao was like this before. This Hua Yang was injured and met Squire Pan. This time, he probably came to return the favor. Chapter 2573. Most of the people who were loyal to their friends were not loyal to them. How could Lu Hao remember Squire Pan's kindness to him? They were not related to each other. It was rare that Squire Pan could be so kind to him. Lu Hao might not remember. Ning Shu immediately bowed. "Thank you, Mr. Hua." Hua Yang said greedily, "No need." Ning Shu and Xiao Chui got on the carriage. Hua Yang and Squire Pan got on the horses and left. Ning Shu looked at Xiao Chui and said, "Didn't I give you the slave contract? Why don't you leave?" "I've been with Miss for so long. Miss treated me very well. I can only be a slave and serve others. I want to serve Miss more." Ning Shu lifted the curtain and asked, "Father, where will we live in the future?" "I found a place. It's beautiful. No one knows us or don't worry about people talking nonsense," Squire Pan said. Ning Shu thought, what a good father. If it were his parents who were not so open-minded, they would have scolded her. No matter how bad her life was, she could not be abandoned by her husband's family. No matter how hard it was, she could not be abandoned by her husband's family. "I'll listen to you." The place Squire Pan chose was a little far from the capital. He probably thought that the farther he was from the capital, the less he would know about the nonsense. After a few days of traveling, they would stop to cook some soup and pancakes at night. Hua Yang hunted some game and barbecued some meat. He just sprinkled some salt on it. It tasted very good. Hua Yang was a man of few words. He usually kept a straight face. But he was very responsible. He would watch over everyone every night and occasionally take a nap. After 10 days of traveling, they finally arrived. It was a small town. Squire Pan bought a small courtyard. It was well decorated and had a garden. It was very exquisite. This will be our home in the future. Squire Pan said directly, I've sold all the land and shops. We can buy more things in the future. Ning Shu smiled and said, I'll listen to father. Squire Pan looked at Ning Shu, then turned to Xiao Cui and said, hurry up and make some soup for Wenlan. She must have suffered in the prison. All right. When Hua Yang heard that Ning Shu had been in prison, he couldn't help but glance at him, but he didn't show any expression. Brother Hua Yang, you should also stay here for a few days. It must have been hard on you. Take a rest before you go back. Hua Yang nodded in agreement. Squire Pan didn't want to upset Ning Shu, so he didn't mention Lu Hao or Healy. On the other hand, Ning Shu felt that his days here were really comfortable. He ate well and his complexion improved. Occasionally, he would lean against the window and watch Hua Yang practice his sword. He had some skills. Most of the Jianghu people here were probably at this level. If that was the case, she could be considered an expert. She hoped that the person who commissioned her could continue cultivating after returning. It was always a good thing to have power to protect one's body, and spiritual energy could also nourish one's body. His body had been injured before, and he even applied some facial cream. He needed to slowly recover. Even if Healy Fuchin divorced, it didn't mean that he wouldn't meet the right person in the future. Maybe he would even have children. Ning Shu studied the map, looking at the situation of Mountain Stone Town and how long it would take to reach Mountain Stone Town. However, the map was hard to understand. It must be Mountain Stone Town. If it was far away, Lu Hao's system would be stripped off. 2333 wouldn't be able to devour the system from such a long distance. At the dinner table, Ning Shu said to Squire Pan, Father, I want to do business. I want to sell goods outside the Great Wall. I want to bring back the fur and gems outside the Great Wall. The tea leaves and silk here are very popular over there. The profit would be very high. Squire Pan put down his chopsticks, shook his head and said, No, it's too dangerous. There will be bandits along the way, and those people outside the Great Wall. They are tall and strong. Sometimes they will rob directly. Besides, it's not peaceful outside the Great Wall. I don't trust a weak girl like you to do such a thing. It's too dangerous. Hua Yang, who had been keeping a straight face, said, The environment outside the Great Wall is very bad. It's either yellow sand or extremely hot. I've traveled to these places. It's not a place you can go. Ning Shu said, I'm not a weak girl. I'm very bored in the Lu mansion, so I practice martial arts. Xiao Cui, who was standing to the side, was shocked. When did Miss practice martial arts? I practice before going to bed at night. When Squire Pan heard this, he felt that his daughter lived a lonely life in the Lu mansion every day. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so bored as to practice martial arts. Hua Yang's straight face looked even more serious now. If you practice martial arts like this, you will go crazy. Practice is nonsense. Did she think that she could become a master who could leap over roofs and vault over walls with just a little practice? I can protect myself. Really. I've been practicing martial arts for almost 5 years. I can leave my handprint on a rock. Ning Shu walked out of the hall and came to the rockery. She hit the rockery with her palm and left a very shallow handprint on the rockery. Squire Pan was stunned. He couldn't believe it. He could only ask Hua Yang, who was an expert beside him, look at her. Hua Yang frowned. She has some inner strength. Ning Shu grabbed Squire Pan's arm and shook it hard. She wanted Squire Pan to agree to let her run the business. The most important thing was that they had to pass by Mountain Stone Town on their way to the Great Wall. Mountain Stone Town was closer to the Great Wall. While doing business, she could also pay attention to Lu Hao's situation. Otherwise, if the system was disconnected, 2333 wouldn't be able to reach it. Squire Pan was dizzy because of the shaking. Stop. I'm still worried. You can hire a few guards who are good at martial arts. The more I think about it, the sadder I feel. The more I think about it, the more I want to cry. Father, what should I do in the future? If I don't do something soon, I won't be able to vent my anger. Squire Pan's face was full of guilt. It was his fault for marrying his daughter to that kind of person. Brother Huayang, I'll have to trouble you with this. How much do you want? Help me protect her. Huayang glanced at Ning Shu. Sure. I'm going to travel anyway, so I'll take you along. Ning Shu was very happy. Things were going well. These few days he bought a lot of tea leaves and cloth. Half of them were made of cotton, and the rest were of better quality. Then he pulled a few carts and prepared to leave. Squire Pan stuffed some money into Ning Shu's pocket. Ning Shu didn't accept it. I have money with me. The jewelry he had bought over the years had earned him a lot of money. Squire Pan stuffed the money into Huayang's hand. He asked Huayang to take good care of his daughter and buy whatever she wanted. He also asked Xiao Cui to follow along. She could help take care of her daughter, wash her clothes, and serve tea. Ning Shu sat on the back of the horse and bent down to lift Xiao Cui's chin. He looked at her and said, Xiao Cui, you don't have to follow us. The wind is strong outside the Great Wall. Don't blow your delicate skin. Xiao Cui was speechless. Miss is so naughty. Chapter 2574. Miss, aren't you going too? I'll follow you to take care of you. Xiao Cui felt that there was no reason for her to be more delicate than her miss. Besides, it was rare to be able to see how the people outside the pass lived. Besides, wasn't Hero Hua here to protect everyone? As for her miss saying that she knew martial arts, Xiao Cui didn't believe her at all. She must be lying. She could convince her master, but not her. Ning Shu said casually, all right, it'll be a tough journey. Follow me if you want. It was convenient for ancient people to travel and they rarely went out, let alone women who stayed in the backyard. The group of people and a few carriages headed out of the pass. Xiao Cui sat in the carriage while Ning Shu sat on the horse. He wore a curtain hat to cover his face. Traveling in ancient times was slow and difficult. At night, they had to set up camp. If there was a town, they could stay in a room. If they didn't reach the town, they could only sleep in the wild. There were many wild animals. At night, it was either the howling of wolves or the cries of other strange birds. Everyone took turns to be on duty to avoid dangerous situations. It took them more than a month to reach Mountain Stone Town. The closer they got to the border, the more desolate it felt. The crops didn't grow much and it looked especially lonely. Hey, stop. I planted this tree and opened this road. Ning Shu was speechless. There were indeed many bandits in Mountain Stone Town. As soon as they got close, they encountered bandits. Why didn't they say that everything belonged to them? Ah, there's a young lady. Xiao Cui stuck her head out and saw the bandits. Her face immediately turned pale. She didn't know if Lu Hao and the others had reached Mountain Stone Town or if they were killed by bandits. However, there were armored guards. Even if these bandits were brave, they wouldn't dare to approach. They were simply courting death. Huayang's face was stern. A cold aura exploded from his body. He pulled out his sword, stepped on the horse's back, and leaped over. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. These bandits relied on their numbers. Now that Huayang was fighting many of them, these bandits couldn't fight back. Huayang directly cut off the tendons in the hands of these bandits, which was considered to be sparing their lives. However, they would no longer have the ability to commit crimes. The group swaggered past the bandits. Ning Shu jumped off his horse and asked a bandit who was covering his wrist, "Have you seen a group of guards escorting someone over?" "I don't know." Ning Shu stepped on the bandit's wrist, causing the bandit to wail in pain. Yes, I heard that the county magistrate was appointed." Ning Shu lifted his foot and rubbed it twice on the ground to wipe off the blood on the soles of his feet. This meant that Lu Hao had already taken office. Ning Shu flipped onto the horse's back and let the group start moving. He said to Xiao Cui, "Wear a hat too." Xiao Cui obediently put on the veil hat to cover her face. "Why did you only cut the tendons in their right hands?" Ning Shu asked Huayangwen. "With only one hand cut off, they can still live. They can find a new job, and they won't starve to death." Huayang said greedily, "Can they survive with their left hand?" "Why not? My right hand was injured, so I used my left hand to practice swordsmanship." Ning Shu said, "Then aren't you afraid that they'll rob you with a knife in their left hand?" "If I see them again, I'll definitely kill them." Ning Shu just grunted and entered the town to find an inn to stay. After packing up, Ning Shu put on the veil hat and went to the county office. This county office was very run down, and the plaque on the door was a bit crooked. It was clear that the people of this town didn't care about the county office at all. At a glance, the evil people in this town were very evil. It was normal for them to bully and dominate the market. The evil officials were no different from bandits. The cowardly people were very cowardly. Their stalls were often destroyed, but they didn't dare to say anything. In such a poor and backward place, there were only country bumpkins. He didn't know if the princess could stand it. Of course she couldn't. The princess couldn't stand it at all in this small county office. It was run down and small. Even the women who followed Lu Hao here couldn't help but be speechless when they saw such a poor place. How could they survive in such a place? They ate vegetables 3 times a day. In the past, they ate expensive food, but in this place, even rice was considered a luxury. Lu Hao, the county magistrate, was just a figurehead. Anyway, the entire county office was under the control of a ruthless official like the advisor. When they collected taxes, it was just to line their own pockets. They would also increase all kinds of taxes. Although Lu Hao felt that this place was difficult to manage, from another perspective, it was also a good opportunity to help the poor people overthrow the violent control. By punishing these evil officials, the people who couldn't survive without food would naturally listen to his orders. Lu Hao had always been planning to find a suitable opportunity. However, during this time, he was buying people's hearts and doing all kinds of things for the people. He even led the people to rebel against the bullies who oppressed them. In a short time, Lu Hao already had many supporters in Mountain Stone Town. If there was anything, they would come to Lu Hao. Ning Shu was eating in his room. When he heard this, he just curled his lips and didn't say anything. "He's a good official," said Hua Yang. "Even if he's a good official, he's still a heartless man," Xiao Cui immediately retorted. Hua Yang was stunned. He wasn't a gossipy person and didn't know much about Miss Pan. When he heard Xiao Cui say heartless man, he was instantly confused. Clearly, they weren't on the same page. Ning Shu pondered. Lu Hao really wanted to be a good official and climb up step by step before returning to the center of power. However, in his situation, it wouldn't be easy to climb back up. It might even take decades. Even if he made some achievements, it might not reach the ears of the emperor. Unless, sometimes, the emperor thought of his daughter and thought of him. However, hoping that the emperor would think of him, Lu Hao could wait. Could Lu Hao's system wait? Ning Shu had a bold idea. That was that Lu Hao might be planning to rebel. Even if he was an extremely important official, how could it be as carefree as being the ruler of the world? He believed that Lu Hao's system would agree. The emperor's providence was definitely much better than an official's. That was the providence of a country. However, it wasn't possible for Lu Hao to gather a rebel team in a short time. Hence, Ning Shu decided to go outside the pass to trade for things before slowly dealing with Lu Hao. After staying in Mountain Stone Town for a few days, the team set off again. During this time, they encountered a few waves of bandits. Ning Shu didn't understand. In this remote village, everyone was a bandit. Who were they robbing? No one was producing. Even if they were bandits, they would still be poor. If they wanted to rob a caravan going outside the pass, these caravans would definitely have guards and experts. These bandits wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Chapter 2575. The bandits' tendons had all been cut by Hua Yang. These were all very unprofessional bandits. There should be more regular bandits in this area. Hopefully, they won't encounter them. As soon as they left the border city, they heard the sound of the wind blowing, as well as the sand blowing in their faces. Well, the desertification of the land was a bit serious. Pay attention to the greenery. Ning Shu and his group went to the place where the nomads gathered to exchange things. Fortunately, it didn't rain during the journey. Otherwise, the cloth and tea would be wet and the trip would be in vain. When they arrived at Sand City, it was very lively. It was a trading place. Ning Shu paid some money and prepared to find a place to wait for the guests. Exchanging tea and cloth for more valuable things was a matter of mutual consent. These people ate greasy food and didn't have fruits and vegetables to relieve the grease. Tea was the best thing. The cotton cloth absorbed sweat and was comfortable to wear. After a while, someone came to ask about Ning Shu's tea and cloth exchange. Ning Shu used a roll of cotton cloth to exchange for a red fox fur. The other party used a crimson agate stone to exchange for a caddy of tea, but Ning Shu gave one more tael. Hua Yang stood at the side with his sword and raised his eyebrows. The price difference was too big. Although he knew the profit was high, he didn't expect it to be like this. At first, Xiao Cui was more reserved. Later, she began to greet the guests. Ning Shu thought that these things would take a few days to exchange, but he didn't expect them to be so popular. They were exchanged in a day. The tea and cloth were exchanged for gems, jade, and animal fur. Of course, there was also a half-grown child who was not wearing any clothes and only had a piece of fur wrapped around his lower body. He brought a bowl of something black and came over to trade with her. "You child, what is this?" "I won't exchange." Xiao Cui saw the black thing in the bowl. It was very sticky. Ning Shu saw that it should be oil. If this thing was in the future, it would definitely be developed. But now, there was little knowledge about it. "What do you want to exchange for?" Ning Shu asked. The child was very uneasy. He didn't expect Ning Shu to be willing to exchange. "Cloth, 2 rolls of cloth." The child said. Ning Shu gave him a roll of cotton cloth and some tea leaves. Thank you." Ning Shu took the bowl and looked at the oil. "Miss, what is this?" What was the use of something black? It didn't look good and couldn't be eaten. "It's all right. Just treat it as a new toy." I've seen this kind of thing before. I've seen some people use it to light up their houses and cook their meals. In the end, he was a chivalrous person who had roamed the Jianghu and was very knowledgeable. Ning Shu felt that it was a pity. It was such a waste to ignite the fire directly. However, before the start of the mechanical age, things like oil had no place to be used, and not much of it would be wasted for cooking. In the future, all the cars in the world were supplied by this. After exchanging their items, they headed back. This trip was worth several times the profit, but the risk was a little high. If they were slightly weaker, they would have been robbed by the bandits and lost both their money and their lives. However, the high profits made people scramble for it. After returning to Mountain Stone Town, Ning Shu felt that the atmosphere in the town was different. There didn't seem to be any bullies running amok. Ning Shu and his group stayed at the inn. When they had nothing to do, they heard gossip about the county magistrate killing another bully. As the rumors spread, the county magistrate was almost a peerless hero. When they heard that the county magistrate's wife was a princess, they became even more mythical. In any case, a rebellion needed a name and an opportunity, just like Liu Bang killing White Snake. Ning Shu collected useful information in the town when he had nothing to do. He heard a lot of gossip, such as that the county magistrate's private advisor Ding liked children. In other words, he had a fetish for children. When he went to the surrounding villages, the poor families would either rob or buy children with good features. When he brought them back, those children would soon die. Ning Shu. In a place like this, where the emperor was far away, an evil official like the private advisor was like a local tyrant. Not to mention a private advisor, even a village head or village head was like a local tyrant. Therefore, Ning Shu chose this private advisor. He wrote a letter and asked someone to send it to the capital as quickly as possible. However, there were many bandits around Mountain Stone Town, so he needed someone who knew Kung Fu. "I know the head of an escort agency. He's good at Kung Fu. If he can deliver the letter, he'll definitely be able to do it," Hua Yang said greedily. "Ning Shu, you know a lot of people." Hua Yang pulled a long face. "Why are you slandering him? Is it because he once let you down, so you're using this method to get back at him? He's a good official who works for the people. You can't do this just because of personal grudges." Ning Shu shook his head. "I'm not a narrow-minded person. He's definitely going to rebel. If you don't believe me, let's do an experiment. You can disguise yourself and say that you're a bandit. You don't want to be a bandit anymore and want to seek refuge with him. But do you think he'll take you in when you've killed hundreds of people? That's hard to say." If he's really a good official, he'll definitely kill me, a person whose hands are stained with innocent blood, Hua Yang said methodically. Then let's do an experiment. The county magistrate is thirsty for talents now. Then it's not a bad thing to take in the bandits and protect the people. Are you going to watch the bandits harm the people? Hua Yang and Ning Shu started a debate. Ning Shu was too lazy to say more and let him experiment on his own. I have an evil private advisor by my side. Why didn't I see him deal with him? He even killed his own child. The nation is doomed. The next day, Hua Yang put on a disguise. He stuck a beard on his face, revealing only his eyes. He went to the county government and said that he wanted to see Hua Yang. Hua Yang was personally received by the county magistrate, Lu Hao. Hua Yang saw that Lu Hao was so handsome, just like a noble young master. Thinking that he and Pan Wenlon used to be husband and wife, he felt a little strange. How could she bear to part with such a handsome husband? Appearance was very important. Even if it wasn't good, he had to have some temperament to make people have a good impression of him. But in the end, Hua Yang left the county government with a complicated expression. When he returned to the inn, Ning Shu was leisurely drinking water. You look a little sad. His worldview had collapsed. Lu Hao was a person controlled by the system. Did you really expect him to have the resolve to save the people of the world? In terms of resolve, Lu Hao wasn't as thoughtful as a Jianghu wanderer. Hua Yang only said, I didn't expect him to be someone who fishes for fame. What a waste of his good looks. Then can you find that head of bodyguards? If you can't, I want you to help me send him to the capital. Ning Shu said worriedly, I'm actually very worried that the people of the world will be caught in the flames of war. The world is still considered peaceful. If it's caught in the flames of war, how many people will become homeless? Even if a dynasty was rotten, there would naturally be people who would overthrow it. But right now, it wasn't rotten yet. Xiao Cui was speechless. She felt that Miss had become a drama queen. Chapter 2576. Hua Yang's face was stiff and lifeless. He didn't know how to laugh or cry. His gaze was as sharp as a sword. He silently looked at Ning Shu, who was clutching her chest with a pitiful expression. Although her words were righteous, she couldn't change her behavior of going against her ex-husband. I'll send you a letter. Who will protect the merchant group? Hua Yang said stiffly. His voice was flat. Ning Shu immediately patted his chest and said, Of course it's me. I'm also a master. Don't think that I'm going against Lu Hao. As the advisor, I'll tell the court that Lu Hao is rebelling. That advisor has a fetish. If he finds out, Lu Hao will definitely kill him. Then we'll have one less person to deal with. Secondly, the bandits in Mountain Stone Town are a scourge. Just say that Lu Hao is colluding with these bandits and preparing to rebel. When the time comes, the court will send troops to destroy these bandits. The emperor could tolerate corrupt officials, but he definitely couldn't tolerate people who wanted to rebel. Lu Hao, the advisor, and the bandits had all been dealt with. Killing 3 birds with 1 stone, why not do it? The bandits in Mountain Stone Town weren't that big. Sending troops to destroy them was making a mountain out of a molehill. However, it was different if someone recruited bandits to rebel. The emperor would definitely send troops to destroy these bandits. They weren't just bandits anymore. They were traitors. Hua Yang was speechless. Scheming bitch. Ning Shu felt that he was going down the path of counterfeiting. Hua Yang took the letter and said, I'll send it to the escort agency and come back. Ning Shu reminded him, be careful on the road. Give me more money. Problems that could be solved with money weren't big problems. Ning Shu leisurely drank tea. Xiao Cui said hesitantly, Miss, what do you want to say? Xiao Cui shook her head. I wanted to say that one night together as husband and wife means endless devotion, but when I think of what he did to you, I can't say it. Rebelling would implicate 9 generations of the family. When the time comes, will it implicate you, miss? I've already received an edict to divorce him. Well, we have nothing to do with each other. He ate and drank when he should. However, during their stay in the town, Ning Shu clearly felt that someone had set their eyes on these goods. He reckoned that once they left the town, they would be robbed in the wilderness. Someone was scouting, and it wasn't just a group of people. Ning Shu was speechless. This time, she was only experimenting with some goods. The main point of the matter was to deal with Lu Hao's matter, so she used the excuse of carrying goods to cover it up. After a day and a night, Hua Yang returned. He was travel-worn. Ning Shu immediately complimented him. "Hero Hua, you've worked hard. Being able to do something for the people is not considered a hardship. Hero Hua is so righteous. Wen Lan admires you." Hua Yang glanced at her. "You're not bad yourself. You're worried about the world falling into the flames of war." She could place righteousness before family. Ning Shu cupped his fists. Well said, well said. Xiao Chui was speechless as she watched the two of them flatter each other. Xiao Chui asked, "Since it's done, miss, when can we go back?" "Let's wait a little longer." There were some things that needed to be stirred up. Xiao Chui was very sad. She felt that Miss was playing with fire. If they continued to stay here, Lu Hao might discover them. There were also so many animal furs and gemstones that were worth a lot of money. The travel-worn Hua Yang washed up, ate something and went to rest. Ning Shu wore a curtain hat and walked around the streets. He bought some small things and inquired about the county government. The conditions here were not good. The wind and sand were stronger than usual. When the beautiful madams came here, they would probably be blown into wrinkled radishes. They were used to the prosperity and delicateness of the capital. They probably would not be able to adapt to the rough life here. Especially the princess of the royal family. He didn't know if the princess knew that Lu Hao was going to rebel. On one hand was his family, and on the other hand was his husband. It was a dilemma. Lu Hao probably didn't dare to tell the princess and did it secretly. Ning Shu returned to the inn and wrote another letter. A few days later, Hua Yang disguised himself as the bearded bandit again and took the letter to the county government. Hua Yang went straight to the point and threw the letter to Lu Hao. Lu Hao took the letter and read it in shock. The more he read, the angrier he became. "Don't drag me into whatever you want to do. I have so many brothers in the mountains who don't want to rebel. They just want to make a living. I robbed a caravan and found it on an escort. I've already killed the caravan. Don't worry, the news shouldn't have leaked out. The private advisor beside you is probably someone who wants to splurge wealth. If he reveals to the imperial court that you want to rebel, he will be rewarded handsomely." Hua Yang said coldly. Lu Hao crushed the letter into a ball. He was shocked and angry. He had done it secretly. How did the private advisor find out? But he looked at the bearded Hua Yang suspiciously. "Why are you helping me?" "Am I helping you? I just want to live. If this news leaks out, the imperial court will send troops here. How can I stand the destruction of the army?" Lu Hao's expression relaxed. Thinking of private advisor Ding, a murderous look flashed across his eyes. Paper can't keep fire. It seemed that he had to speed up the process. Lu Hao tried to recruit Hua Yang again, wanting to take him under his command. Ordinary poor people would never rebel unless they couldn't survive. These bandits were much bolder. He promised a bright future. Hua Yang pretended to be hesitant and said that he had to go back and think about it. After all, he had to be responsible for his brothers in the mountains. After Hua Yang left, Lu Hao took the letter and angrily led a group of people to private advisor Ding's mansion. The private advisor bought a large piece of land outside the town and built a manor. He was one of the richest families in the town. At this time, private advisor Ding was playing with a child. When he saw the people who suddenly rushed in, he was furious. "What are you doing? Can't you see that I'm busy?" Seeing this, Lu Hao frowned in disgust and put the letter in front of him. "I didn't expect private advisor Ding to have such great ambitions. You didn't hesitate to slander me." Private advisor Ding was confused. What the hell was this? After reading the letter, he jumped up. "This wasn't written by me at all. It's not even my handwriting. Someone is obviously framing me." The private advisor was shocked. This county magistrate dared to rebel. He was just a county magistrate. Lu Hao pulled out a snow-white knife and walked towards the private advisor. "Since you already know, then use your blood as a sacrifice." They were rebels anyway. Silencing them would slow down the spread of the news. He had to fight for something for himself. Private Advisor Ding immediately knelt down and explained that he was loyal to the county magistrate. He was willing to do his best for the county magistrate until his death. Even if he wanted to rebel, he would do it. Chapter 2577. But Lu Hao obviously didn't believe him. He had betrayed him in order to survive and would probably report to the imperial court. This kind of person was a ticking time bomb. The advisor saw the murderous intent in Lu Hao's eyes and was furious. He couldn't figure out who had framed him and was shocked by Lu Hao's audacity. He actually wanted to rebel. Even someone as evil as Advisor Ding didn't dare to think about rebelling. Lu Hao didn't hesitate and stabbed the saber into the advisor's chest. Blood spurted out onto Lu Hao's hand. Lu Hao's heart trembled. This was the first time he had killed someone with his own hands. Back then, even if he had to let his wife take the blame, he would have let her commit suicide. He wouldn't let his hands be stained with blood. But this time, he had spared the advisor. There would be endless trouble in the future. It was either you die or I die. There was no choice. After Lu Hao mentally prepared himself, he ordered people to drag Advisor Ding's body away. Advisor Ding had operated in Mountain Stone Town for so many years and had a certain amount of power. Lu Hao saw that there was a confused child beside him. His expression was blank. This child must have heard their conversation. Children were the easiest to talk to. Seeing this child being sent away, he might have spilled the beans. Lu Hao walked towards the child with his saber covered in blood. The child's eyes were filled with horror and fear. He kept retreating but couldn't say anything. Lu Hao pressed the blade against the child's tender neck and cut his hand. Warm blood splashed onto his face. Lu Hao closed his eyes. He knew he couldn't go back. After burying the child's body, Lu Hao thought that he had to find a way to recruit bandits. But these bandits were all from his own mountains and were unruly. They didn't care about the government at all. After that, Lu Hao hung the advisor's body at the Meridian Gate for the public to see. He said that the advisor was corrupt and had taken things by force. He also promised to return the land that the advisor had taken to the people. Lu Hao was instantly shed with tears of gratitude by many people. They kowtowed and called him their lord. The advisor is already dead. Fortunately, we've gotten rid of a disaster, Hua Yang said stiffly. Hua Yang said stiffly. Looking at the woman who was drinking tea, he felt that she was exceptionally skilled at sowing discord. These rich young ladies were too scheming. Ning Shu said, "Don't look at me like that. I'm doing a good deed for the people. After Private Advisor Ding dies, those beautiful children won't have to suffer in the future. There will be one less person who has the power to cause trouble everywhere." "Miss, you're amazing. That Private Advisor Ding deserved it." Xiao Chui poured more tea for Ning Shu and said to Hua Yang unkindly, "Isn't Mrs. Method good? People like you who only know how to fight and kill will definitely be wanted by the government if you kill the advisor. Now this matter has nothing to do with us." Ning Shu nodded and praised, "Little Chui is right." Not only did he have to achieve his goal, but he also had to be independent. Hua Yang was baffled. Did he say something wrong again? Why did the two women suddenly have such a big opinion of him? Hua Yang changed the topic stiffly. "When are we going back? If we delay for too long, your father might think that something has happened to you." Ning Shu said, "It'll take some time. I'll write a letter to father." Hua Yang, "What are you going to send?" Ning Shu, "A letter to home." "What do you think I'm going to write?" Private Advisor Ding's letter would take more than a month to reach the capital. Even if it was rushed, it would still take more than 20 days to reach the capital. After the head escort arrived in the capital, he followed his good friend's instructions and sent the letter to the emperor at the palace gate. Of course, there were several letters that were sent to the imperial censor and some other officials. Not to mention how angry the emperor would be when the letter reached his hands. This Lu Hao, if it weren't for the princess, wouldn't even be a small official. Now he had started to cause trouble and joined forces with the bandits of Mountain Stone Town to rebel. The emperor had sent Lu Hao to Mountain Stone Town for two reasons. First, he was so angry that he wanted Lu Hao to suffer and govern Mountain Stone Town well. When the time came, he would find an excuse to bring Lu Hao back to the capital. After all, he was his daughter's husband. But now he was doing something like this? In Mountain Stone Town, it felt like he was the king of the town. The people only knew Lu Hao as Lord Qing Tian, but they didn't know who the emperor was. Some officials in the imperial court also cursed. Their daughters or younger sisters were women in Lu Hao's harem. According to the 9 generations, they were also part of the 9 generations. How could this Lu Hao be so demonic? He could even cause trouble for no reason. They were convinced. They hurriedly sent servants to inform their daughters to either run or commit suicide. In any case, they didn't want to implicate their families. Some families directly erased the names of their daughters from their genealogy to protect their families. This kind of in-law was deceptive. The emperor angrily issued an imperial edict and ordered the army guarding the border to send a portion of their forces to suppress the rebellion that was about to emerge. Lu Hao directly killed the princess. The princess was brought back. If she didn't want to come back, then so be it. In short, the journey back and forth, from the capital to the border to deliver the imperial edict, and after receiving the imperial edict, they still had to gather the troops and prepare the provisions. It would take at least 2 months. There was no other choice. There were no planes or cars in ancient times, so it took a long time to do this. Ning Shu thought it would take such a long time, so he might as well send the things back home and come back again. So he packed up and left. During this time, Lu Hao didn't even notice that his ex-wife was around him. Perhaps he didn't expect her to appear here. In the vicinity of Mountain Stone Town, they encountered several robberies. Moreover, there were 1 or 2 groups of bandits who had their tendons cut and recovered and started to cause trouble again. This time, Hua Yang didn't hold back. He directly killed these bandits who tried to rob again. These bandits were no match for Hua Yang's poison. Soon, corpses were everywhere. Blood rushed to the sky. Xiao Cui looked at Hua Yang in horror. She didn't expect this big prawn who was as hard as a sword to kill so quickly. Ning Shu just watched and didn't do anything. Ning Shu was very calm about the death of these bandits. But he secretly kept the souls of these bandits in the world of samsara. He could add a portion of soul power to his world, and also increase the number of living creatures in 9 Palace Mountain. It seemed that the 3rd world was still an empty world. It was very difficult to enter the 3rd world. It might be a little difficult to enter the 4th city. In this case, she could only make waves on the 1st and 2nd levels for the time being. The 3rd level was empty and had no waves at all. Ning Shu kept the souls with a serious face. After Hua Yang killed all the bandits, they continued their journey. Xiao Cui vomited all the way. Obviously, her psychological quality was not strong enough. Ning Shu comforted her. If you still want to follow me around the world, this kind of thing can't be avoided. Come on. But Xiao Cui didn't feel comforted at all. Instead, she vomited more violently. Chapter 2578. After traveling for more than a month, they were finally home. Squire Pan was so anxious that he almost pulled out his beard. When he saw Ning Shu, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. Then he lectured her again and again. Xiao Cui's face was pale and she did not speak up for her mistress. Hua Yang held his sword and stood stiffly at the side without a word. Ning Shu said, "I'm hungry." When Squire Pan heard that his daughter was hungry, he finally stopped nagging her. He was both a mother and a father. She took the things she got back to the shop to sell. Squire Pan shook his head when he saw the good fur. He said regretfully, "If we were in the capital, we would definitely be able to sell it for a good price. The price would be several times higher." There were many high-ranking officials and nobles in the capital. Everything was good under the rule of the emperor. When it was almost time, Ning Shu bought some tea leaves and cloth. This time, she bought some porcelain. Porcelain was also something that people outside the Great Wall liked. Just like luxury goods, it was very satisfying to own one. However, Ning Shu gave up after thinking for a while. The situation this time would definitely be very chaotic. Porcelain was something that was easily broken and would get stained. The tea leaves she brought this time were all tea bricks, and most of the cloth was cotton. She was going to join in on the fun. Squire Pan saw that Ning Shu was going to run away again and was so angry that he almost jumped up. "You're going again?" "Yes, I think it's good." "Father, I will support you in the future." Squire Pan was speechless. "Why are you talking about support at home? You're not relying on me to support you. How can I rest assured when you're running around like this? If you're going, who will protect you? Brother Hua helped you this time, but it doesn't mean that he will protect you in the future." Ning Shu patted her chest and promised, "Father, why don't you believe in me? I'm a master." Squire Pan laughed. "Ha!" Hua Yang said, "Brother Pan, I'll go with Miss Pan again." Hua Yang knew that she wanted to go to Mountain Stone Town. To be honest, he also wanted to see the situation. After all, he was also involved in this matter. Ning Shu held a gun in her hand and shot at Hua Yang with one eye closed. "You're a good man. You want to join in the fun." Squire Pan was speechless. "Thank you, big brother." Thus, the few people who didn't stay at home for long and the caravan set off again. Xiao Chui's face was pale. She gritted her teeth and insisted on going with them. However, this time, Ning Shu insisted on not bringing Xiao Chui. This time, the situation was quite dangerous. He patted Xiao Chui's head and said, "Be good and wait at home. Miss, I'll bring something good back for you." Xiao Chui's face was full of resentment as she waved her handkerchief to send Ning Shu off. Like this, the weather slowly turned cold. The cold wind blew, and Ning Shu sat obediently in the carriage, leaning against the charcoal fire. Hua Yang boasted that he was a martial arts master. He stood tall against the cold wind. Ning Shu could only cup his fists and express his admiration. As they approached Mountain Stone Town, the footsteps on the ground were messy. There were many horse hoofprints. Ning Shu stuck his head out of the carriage and looked at the footsteps. He said to Hero Hua, "I think the army has already entered Mountain Stone Town." Hua Yang looked at the footprints and the simple stoves left behind by the army. He calculated how many people there were. Ning Shu felt that 1,000 soldiers would be the most. Some bandits were just a mob. They were not a threat at all. Even if there were many bandits, they were no match for a regular army. Moreover, their numbers were not as big as the army. If there were 1,000 bandits in a mountain, the imperial court would have already come to eliminate them. This was a battle without any suspense. Mountain Stone Town was sealed off by the army. Entry and exit were strictly controlled. Ning Shu and her group wanted to go in, but all the goods had been rummaged through. Ning Shu had to give each of the guards a silver ingot before they were allowed to enter. This situation was obviously to take advantage of the situation. Ning Shu readily gave it to them. He didn't want to lose both the goods and the silver. When they entered the town, it was empty. There were no hawkers on the streets. The doors were closed and even the windows were closed. Ning Shu found the inn from before and planned to stay there. The shopkeeper didn't want to receive guests. Seeing that Ning Shu was generous, he reluctantly allowed the caravan to stay. After drinking a cup of hot tea, Ning Shu asked the shopkeeper about the town's situation. The innkeeper slapped his thigh. What a sin he had committed! He blabbered on and on in a low voice as he recounted the entire incident. The army arrived at Mountain Stone Town more than 10 days ago. When they arrived, they sealed off the town. Ning Shu was quite satisfied with the result. Now, Lu Hao was arrested. His wife and children were also arrested. The people of Mountain Stone Town had mixed feelings about Lu Hao. On the one hand, he did do something for the people. On the other hand, he gathered the bandits to rebel. If it wasn't certain, why would the imperial court send the army? It was good that the army eliminated the bandits. These bandits not only robbed the passing caravans, but also some villages. Especially when food was scarce, the bandits could only starve after stealing the food. Ning Shu curled his lips. Then he would stay here until the matter was over. He directly extinguished Lu Hao's ambitions in the cradle. The current Lu Hao could be said to have nothing. No food, no army, no army. His ambitions were also known in advance. Ning Shu released his mental power and covered the town. However, the town was very big. It was very difficult for him to reach the county office. He saw that Lu Hao and his wife were locked in a cage. The princess carried a child in a cage alone. The princess was so good. At this time, she still had preferential treatment and was alone in a cage. The princess carried the child. Her face was haggard and filled with disbelief. Her eyes were red, and her cheekbones were high. At first glance, it was impossible for this woman to be the princess. The princess never thought that there was something worse waiting for her. She thought that coming to this remote village was already the lowest point of her life. Now, she was a prisoner because her husband wanted to rebel. As the person who slept next to her, she didn't know whether her husband rebelled or not. These people far away in the capital and the border knew first. This was definitely a conspiracy. Lu Hao was definitely wronged. But now, there was no help. She couldn't see her father who was thousands of miles away. There was no way to defend herself. From the beginning of the matter until now, Lu Hao didn't say a word. He looked extremely dispirited. This made the princess panic. She felt that the future was dark. She felt as if she had stepped into a swamp. She could only watch helplessly as she sank. In the end, there was no ceiling. This feeling was too hopeless. The princess couldn't help but question Lu Hao. Lu Hao seemed to be immersed in his own world and didn't care about the princess at all. The other wives and concubines squeezed into a cage. They were crying in low voices. Why were their lives so hard? Even if they weren't beheaded, they would be sent to be slaves or even military prostitutes. The atmosphere of despair enveloped the entire county office. Chapter 2579. Ning Shu retracted her psychic power. She was sweating profusely and felt like her psychic power was about to dry up. The range was too wide. It was beyond her psychic power's tolerance. Ning Shu felt that she should strengthen her psychic power. Spiritual power was a great tool for peeping. If it was large enough, within a large area, everything would be under one's nose. She wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. Her head hurt badly. Her psychic power had reached a bottleneck. After expanding to a certain range, it could no longer be extended. The army that had exterminated the bandits had returned. They entered the town with a thick smell of blood. Everyone immediately closed their doors and windows. There was no one on the streets. Only the sound of horse hooves and soldiers could be heard. Ning Shu used her psychic power to scan the area. The leading general immediately pulled on the reins and looked around vigilantly. Who is it? Ning Shu quickly retracted his gaze. After all, the general had survived mountains of corpses and seas of blood. He was able to detect his psychic power. However, the feeling of being peeped on did not appear again. The general waved his hand and the troops continued in the direction of the county government. Hua Yang was a martial artist. He could smell the strong smell of blood from afar. It seems that the imperial court has made up their mind this time. They actually sent General Li. The bandits in Mountain Stone Town would probably disappear during this period. They must have been scared out of their wits by the army. It would take some time for them to develop again. Mountain Stone Town could be peaceful for a few years or even a decade. However, it was close to the border. It was a road that caravans had to pass through. Therefore, this profession would still flourish. Ning Shu asked 2333, "It's already like this. That whatever system still hasn't left Lu Hao's body? Could Lu Hao still be alive? If so, Ning Shu would give this guy a thumbs up. His vitality was the most tenacious of all the hosts he had seen. Perhaps he had escaped and fled to other places to develop. For example, outside the Great Wall. If he developed, he could also attack this country. In any case, it was possible that he could escape. 2333, it hasn't left yet. This system was quite patient. It was going to be a great harvest. Some short-sighted systems would rush to leave when they realized that the situation was not right. This wasted a lot of energy and did not even return to its original body. Ning Shu could only wait for the system to leave Lu Hao. Perhaps the system would leave on its own and leave Lu Hao behind. This way, Lu Hao would still have a life. The black-bellied system directly devoured Lu Hao's soul. A more humane system. Let's find a new body and fight again. In short, no matter what the situation was, Lu Hao's situation was not good. After leaving his body, the system war began. Even Lu Hao could not escape the fate of being devoured. Every day, there would be troops searching everywhere. Apart from a portion of them going out to exterminate the scattered bandits, The rest would capture and kill some ruffians in the towns or villages as a warning to others. For a time, the atmosphere in Mountain Stone Town was unprecedentedly good. No one picked up anything that was left behind on the road, and there were no more cases of thievery. The commoners were all trembling in fear. The tyrant was also very afraid. He was afraid that someone would report him as a tyrant. Actually, he was also very gentle. Ning Shu was speechless. He felt that this General Li really had a personality. He probably wanted to completely change the atmosphere of Mountain Stone Town. It seemed that General Li was a tough general. It was a blessing for the country to have such a general. This was a typical cold-faced, cold-hearted general who cared about the world. He liked it. The general was very obedient. After dealing with the bandits, he would kill Lu Hao and present the head to the emperor in the capital. Although the weather was already cold, when the head was sent to the capital, the emperor would probably see a rotten face. He hoped that after dealing with it, the head would rot slower. Lu Hao's face was ashen. The feeling of powerlessness grew stronger and stronger. Was he really going to die here? He was really unwilling. General Li carried a long spear and walked to the side of the cage expressionlessly. The princess shouted in panic, "Pai Lupi, if you dare to kill him, I will not let you off." General Li said indifferently, "Princess, I am not Pai Lupi. I am Li Feng." "Pai Lupi, don't kill my husband. As an older sister, I am begging you. For the sake of our friendship since we grew up together." Ning Shu, who was watching the show, was speechless. Fuck, why do I feel that this Li heir and the princess have some past entanglements? Pai Lupi. Thinking of the Nine-Palace Mountain Pai Lupi, he was an idiot. However, the Pai Lupi of the Nine-Palace Mountain could only be reincarnated there. After all, the world of Samsara was not connected to these planes of existence. Could it be that General Li and the princess, Ning Shu could imagine a melodramatic plot even with his eyes closed. General Li did not show any mercy. He directly pierced Lu Hao's chest with his long spear into his heart. Lu Hao's eyes gradually lost their light. General Li pulled out the long spear and Lu Hao's body fell to the ground. Ah! The princess looked at Lu Hao in disbelief. "You killed him. You killed her. Pai Lupi, I hate you. Master, master." The other madams all began to sob. They were in despair. They had lost their pillar of support. General Li did not take the princess's words to heart. "It doesn't matter if you hate me. You will be free once you leave him. Look at you, a princess. Ever since you got together with him, you have been cursed by thousands of people. Your days are getting worse and worse. You are neither a human nor a ghost." "But I love him. Pai Lupi, I hate you. Give my husband back to me." The princess wailed in pain. The little girl beside her, who was not even 2 years old, also began to cry. General Li's face flashed with a strange look. Finally, he calmed down. She was no longer the arrogant and beautiful princess. She was also no longer the older sister in his heart. This time, he took the initiative to come here to see her. The princess was his cousin. There was no way he didn't have any feelings for her. 2333. That's strange. The system did not leave his body. Ning Shu. Don't tell me it wants to revive Lu Hao. Lu Hao's soul does not seem to have left his body. Ning Shu's heart was itching. He wanted to immediately rush over and cut off Lu Hao's head. If he could still be revived like this, Ning Shu would be convinced. He double-tapped 6 sixes. 2333. It's most likely this plan. It would not easily change its host. This system is very well hidden. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes. He had a feeling that 2333 had struck gold this time. He had met an old fox system. Who knew how much luck and souls it had stolen? General Li planned to cut off Lu Hao's head. The princess immediately begged him, "Pai Lupi, I beg you. Leave him a whole corpse, please." General Li frowned and did not say anything. However, he did not immediately cut off Lu Hao's head. Ning Shu, go, go, go. Hua Yang's face was stern. He looked at Ning Shu from the corner of his eyes. He was scratching his head. It was winter, but he was so anxious that he was sweating. He asked carefully, "Are you having epilepsy?" Chapter 2580. Epilepsy? Ning Shu looked at Hua Daxia with some pity. This guy was destined to be alone for the rest of his life. Talking like this was like telling a girl, "You're good at everything, but you like to laugh like a pig." Asking people to talk like this? Of course, there was no guarantee that one day when he saved the beauty, the girl would rush to repay him with her body. Ning Shu squeezed out a hee-hee from his throat, ignored him, and continued to look at the situation. Ning Shu was so anxious that he wanted to help and cut off Lu Hao's head. The longer he delayed, the higher Lu Hao's chances of survival. He didn't know what method the system used to imprison Lu Hao's soul in his body. It was probably using energy to repair Lu Hao's soul again. If Lu Hao's luck was better and more dramatic, his heart would be on the right side, and he would be able to survive. Ning Shu face-bombed. This princess really came out to mess things up. Now that the princess was living like this, it was most likely that her luck had been plundered. Luck was one reason why she was living so miserably. On the other hand, it was possible that she was muddle-headed because of love. Even if Ning Shu didn't come, who knew what the princess's fate would be like in the future? Lu Hao seemed to be full of love, but he was actually cold. There was no love at all. The princess cried and begged not to cut off Lu Hao's head and to leave Lu Hao's corpse intact. General Li didn't agree or reject. He was probably very conflicted. Ning Shu, Li Dada, you're going to hand the head to the emperor. Don't cheat. Take out your upright military bearing and reject her. As time passed, Ning Shu also gave up. It seemed that General Li was going to be biased for the princess cousin this time to say goodbye. Seeing the princess crying with tears and snot, she looked especially pitiful. Anyone who saw her would feel pity for her. It seemed that General Li still had some feelings for the princess. Ning Shu sighed and held his chin. Everything would be solved if he just cut off the head. Now he had to track Lu Hao's corpse. In the end, as Ning Shu expected, General Li didn't cut off Lu Hao's head. Instead, he replaced it with a bandit's head. Of course, he found someone with a face similar to Lu Hao's. She combed her hair into the same bun as Lu Hao and inserted Lu Hao's hairpin into her bun. Rolling the skull into the lime, it was white and seeping. It was hard to see the exact appearance of the skull unless one used their hands to pat off the lime on the skull. The emperor wouldn't do anything. In any case, he should be able to hide it. Furthermore, General Li felt that Lu Hao's heart had already been pierced by a spear and he couldn't be any more dead. Who would have thought that Lu Hao would still be alive? Thank you, Pai Lupi. The princess wiped her tears and looked at the lifeless corpse. Her heart was numb from the pain. General Li asked, "Is the princess going back to the capital?" "Why would I go back? Imperial father killed my husband. What can I do? I can't kill Imperial father to avenge him." General Li said, "Princess, be careful with your words. The emperor said that you can return to the capital or stay here." The princess snorted with a fake smile. Her face was filled with grief and sarcasm. "I'm not going back. I'm going to protect him. Everything I have in this life is with him. My glory is with him. My heart is with him." General Li pursed his lips and dealt with the other wives and concubines with a cold face. These people were all demoted to servants and were recorded as slaves. They basically wouldn't be able to turn over a new leaf in this life. The madams cried uncontrollably. Among them, there were a few madams with good family backgrounds. They were all dead set on following Lu Hao because they believed that Lu Hao would be able to stand up again. When he returned to the capital, he would definitely be an existence that people looked up to. He would definitely be able to go back and slap their faces. However, they didn't expect that there would be no low point in life. They were originally young ladies of noble families, but now they were actually being sent to be slaves. How could they bear this? The young ladies who didn't do any household chores, and even some of the lowly singers and dancers, wouldn't do such menial and tiring work. Their task was to sing and dance and serve the nobles. The ladies felt that their future was dark. They didn't even know when they would be tortured to death. They might even be bullied and humiliated. Or they might end up in a brothel and have a pair of jade-like arms that could be pillowed by 10,000 people. Just thinking about it made them tremble in fear. If they knew that it would be like this, they definitely wouldn't have followed. At this moment, They suddenly felt envious of Pan Wenlan, who had divorced Lu Hao long ago. Thinking about it, she really had nothing in this life. Her body was ruined by the princess. She didn't even have a child. Her husband even had to share with so many people. She refused to be the mistress of the house and ran over to be a man's concubine. She lowered her status and had nothing. Suddenly, she felt some hatred for Lu Hao, who had died and left this group of helpless women behind. These madams were all taken away. It was also because General Li was strict in his management of the army. If it were any other army, these madams would have been bullied and humiliated long ago. General Li repeatedly asked the princess if she wanted to return to the capital. If she didn't return to the capital, she could follow him to the border. This way, he could help take care of the mother and daughter. The princess' daughter wasn't even 2 years old now. With an orphan and a widow, it was easy for her to be bullied. The princess shook her head and rejected General Li's good intentions. To her, it was the same no matter where she went. There was no joy in this life. Lu Hao was dead. A corner of her heart had already collapsed. Gradually, her entire heart would collapse. She would be lifeless. Even if she was alive, she would be a walking corpse. General Li wasn't a talkative person. His suggestions were repeatedly rejected, so he didn't say anything else. He packed up everything and prepared to return to the border. Before he left, he saw her guarding the corpse. Fortunately, it was winter, so the corpse didn't smell in a short time. The child next to her sat in the snow and cried, but the princess didn't seem to hear. General Li picked up the child and patted the snow off her body. The princess stiffly turned her head and said to General Li in a hoarse voice, "Pai Lupi, can you take her away?" General Li instantly understood the princess's intentions. If she gave the child to him, he would probably have to follow this man. General Li directly refused. "This is your child. Of course, you have to raise her. In the future, you have to prepare a dowry for her. You have to see her live a peaceful and beautiful life." As a mother, she was strong. If he really took the child away, her cousin would have no more worries. Wouldn't she be determined to die? Thinking that this man was the executioner who killed Lu Hao, if she gave the child to him, it wouldn't be good for her to acknowledge the murderer as her father in the future. The princess didn't say anything about entrusting the child to him. General Li had to return to the border, so he left behind some gold, silver, and jewels. These were all copied from the mountain bandits. It was enough for the mother and daughter to live the rest of their lives without worry. The princess only asked General Li to take it back. She wouldn't use a needle or a piece of thread from this man. General Li pursed his lips, but he also knew that the little bit of affection that they had grown up together was gone. /BK Chapter 2581. On the day of the march, General Li waited outside the town for a long time, but the princess didn't come out, so he rode away. To Ning Shu, as a bystander, General Li was actually a good man, but he didn't express himself much. Lu Hao was a man of this era who knew how to say a few flirtatious words. But girls like these things. So it formed a routine. Flirting was reaching out to girls. Since ancient times, deep love couldn't keep the heart of a person, only a routine. Since you like to hear it, then follow this routine. Ning Shu didn't dare to relax. His spiritual power was focused on Lu Hao's body. Lu Hao didn't wake up. His face was pale, like a dead person. After using his spiritual power all the time and being tired, Ning Shu would rest for a while before checking. He wiped the sweat off his head. He felt that his body was hollowed out and his head hurt. Hua Yang looked at Ning Shu strangely more than once. How could he sweat so much in winter? Sweating in winter consumed yang energy and couldn't hide essence energy. Did you go crazy? Hua Yang thought about it and could only think of this possibility. She seemed to have some inner strength. Ning Shu. I'm just afraid of the heat and wore too much. Hua Yang didn't say anything else. Let's go, follow me. Ning Shu left the inn first. Because the army left, the town was lively again. Ning Shu shuttled through the crowd. Hua Yang followed her closely. Ning Shu used his spiritual power to see the princess wipe Lu Hao's body, put on mourning clothes, and use a cart to pull Lu Hao's body out of the town. Obviously, she was looking for a place to bury Lu Hao's body. Ning Shu had to know where Lu Hao's body was buried. When the time came, he would cut off Lu Hao's head. He couldn't drag it out for too long. What if Lu Hao revived again? This kind of pay-to-win player with a resurrection armor was really annoying. Snowflakes fell from the sky, and the cold wind whistled. The princess pulled the cart and walked aimlessly against the whistling cold wind. A girl less than 2 years old sat on the cart beside her father's body. She was young and didn't know what was going on. Although she was a princess, her future was destined to be bad. To some extent, the mother and daughter's luck was gone. They were supposed to be princesses and infanta, living a life of luxury. Of course, this was partly because of Ning Shu. When they arrived at a forest, the princess used a shovel to dig the snow. The ground was frozen and very hard. It was not easy for the princess to dig a hole. However, the princess insisted on digging a grave for Lu Hao. Her palms were bleeding from the friction of the shovel. This scene was particularly touching. Huawei watched from afar and said, "Although she has done a lot of wrong things, she is a steadfast woman." Ning Shu, don't use love to cover up everything. It seems like as long as she is loyal to her love, she can do anything. It was as if Guan Love was pardonable. Should he let go of his hobby? Ning Shu coldly said, "She is indeed very loyal. Do you believe that she will abandon her daughter and commit suicide? Dying for love? How beautiful." Hua Yang looked at Ning Shu's indifferent expression. "You don't seem to care." "It's not that I don't care, but the princess is like a gambler who has lost everything." Suicide was very normal. It was like a stock trader who lost everything overnight and jumped down from the building, abandoning his family. The princess gambled on her feelings. She gambled that she had married a good husband, a good man who was second to none in the world. She invested a lot. As a princess, she married a small official as a concubine. She lost her reputation and pride. Secondly, she had to share her husband with so many women. Now, her husband was dead. She lost everything emotionally and had nothing left. One was a loss of money, and the other was a loss of feelings. If she could not bear it, she would naturally kill herself. Ning Shu understood this feeling very well. Ever since the peerless martial arts had been destroyed, she had been gambling every day. However, as time passed, Ning Shu calmed down. If the peerless martial arts could not be preserved, Ning Shu felt that he should be able to continue. After all, there was the world of reincarnation, and then the world of living beings. He did not know if there would be a world of faith in the future. Hua Yang had nothing to say. What could he say when he met a scheming bitch who was good at talking? Ning Shu and Hua Yang silently watched the princess dig the soil with a huff and puff. Ning Shu gathered his clothes. The wind was blowing so hard that his face hurt. Hua Yang felt that the girl's body temperature was too unstable. She was sweating one moment and shivering the next. Ning Shu was very bored waiting. The princess finally buried Lu Hao's body. Seeing such a deep pit, Ning Shu felt really speechless. She would dig it out again later. It was really tiring to bury and dig it out. After Lu Hao's body was buried, Princess Hua Yang sat in the snow with a numb look. The child was calling for her mother. The princess said to the child, "Nanan, let's go back." The princess put the child on the handcart and pulled it away. In the cold wind, she left without looking back. Hua Yang said stiffly, "She didn't commit suicide." Ning Shu said, "Are you stupid? She should have settled her child. Hurry up and dig the grave." "Why? He is dead. Why do you still disturb his soul? A dead man is like an extinguished lamp. Everything should be written off." Ning Shu's face was unfathomable. "I don't care about stupid people." Was Lu Hao the kind of person who died like an extinguished lamp? The soul didn't leave the body, nor did it go to the world of samsara. What kind of person was that? Hurry up, hurry up. Who knows when she will come back? Hero Hua had never done such a shameful thing like digging someone's grave. Seeing her digging so hard, how much hatred did she have? She didn't even let the dead go. She was crazy. The princess dug a little deep. Ning Shu jumped into the pit and threw Lu Hao's body directly. The body fell at Hero Hua's feet. Hua Yang frowned coldly. She was incorrigible. How could she profane a corpse like that? Ning Shu climbed out of the pit and pushed Lu Hao's body away. He found that the wound on his left chest was much smaller. Although his flesh had been torn apart and his skin was deathly pale, the wound had shrunk a lot. Now the wound was like being shot by an arrow instead of being pierced by a spear. The wound was at least the size of a baby's fist. Ning Shu put his hand on Lu Hao's chest and moved his arm. The muscles were still soft and didn't show the stiffness of a dead person. Then he leaned over and put his ear on Lu Hao's chest. He felt that Lu Hao's heart was beating very weakly, and it beat for a long time. If he didn't observe for a long time, he would definitely think that Lu Hao was dead. Come and see. Ning Shu waved to Hua Yang. /BK. Chapter 2582. He didn't have the hobby of tarnishing the dead. Playing with corpses didn't respect the dead at all. Even enemies shouldn't insult corpses like this. Ning Shu. He's still alive. Hua Yang didn't quite believe it. A dead person was buried in the ground for at least an hour. Are you kidding me? Hua Yang squatted down to take his pulse and then listened to his heartbeat. He was shocked. Could this be the legendary tortoise breathing technique, the fake death technique? Ning Shu. Then what do you want to do? If Hua Yang remembered correctly, this man was her husband, a night of husband and wife, 100 days of grace. But how did she know that her husband wasn't dead? Could it be that he faked his death to avoid the imperial court's pursuit? Ning Shu smiled and said, "Of course I have to get rid of this scourge for the country and the people. If he's alive, he will definitely take revenge." Hua Yang. But although he's my ex-husband, if he's alive, he has a deep hatred for this country and will definitely take revenge in the future, Ning Shu said worriedly. Hua Yang. A woman's heart is the most vicious. Ning Shu pulled out Hua Yang's sword and pointed it at Lu Hao's neck. Lu Hao was still unaware, as if he didn't notice the approaching danger at all. Ning Shu didn't hesitate and wanted to cut off her head with the sword. In an instant, Lu Hao opened his blood-red eyes and dodged Ning Shu's sword with a sidestep. Lu Hao flipped over and stood up. His feet were off the ground and his body was floating. Ning Shu immediately realized that this Lu Hao wasn't the Lu Hao of the past. The system was controlling his body. This system was the calmest system Ning Shu had ever seen. At this time, it still hadn't left the body. No matter how bad the situation was, it didn't rush to escape. It probably wanted to fight back. Although the spring was at its lowest, the rebound force was definitely strong. The system probably still wanted to let Lu Hao live and then annex this country step by step to become the ruler of the world. Hua Yang felt that what was happening now was making his worldview a little shaky. Floating in the air like this, how could a Qing Gong be able to step on the snow without leaving a trace, unless it was a bird with wings? Even if one were to leap onto roofs and vault over walls, one would still need a point of support. This person was floating in the air and did not need a point of support. Ning Shu held her sword and drew a beautiful sword flower. Then she attacked Lu Hao with a swish. "I'll chop off your head and see how you resurrect." Ning Shu swooshed, and the system allowed Lu Hao's body to avoid the attack. If any vital parts were injured, it would still need to use its energy. This was Ning Shu's first time fighting against the system. In the past, the system would always break away and then fight against the system. Ning Shu's fighting spirit surged, and the sword in his hand danced even faster. It was difficult for the system to control Lu Hao's body to avoid these injuries. Unable to fuse with his body, he couldn't do as he pleased. Soon, Lu Hao's clothes were torn to shreds. He infused the remaining energy in his dantian into his sword and sliced it across Lu Hao's neck. The cut was neat, and Lu Hao's head was chopped off. The head fell to the ground, and the hot red blood dripped onto the snow. Even without his head, Lu Hao's body was still floating and did not fall. Hua Yang stood far away and watched, his face blank. What the hell was this? He still didn't break away at this time. Was he going to use the headless corpse to plunder luck? Be careful not to get cremated. 2333. Leave further away. It's definitely going to break away. It's probably going to cause a big commotion. Ning Shu, can you do it? A man has to do it even if he can't. A man? Oh, 2333 is actually a man. Ning Shu's mouth twitched, and he grabbed the head and hid further away. He also threw the head into the pit. Later, he would have to throw Lu Hao's body in to bury it. After all, they were husband and wife. The system broke away from the headless corpse, and Lu Hao's body fell directly onto the snow. Ning Shu quickly ran over, threw the body into the pit, and quickly buried it. Gradually, a strong wind blew around, and sand and stones flew. There was also a cracking sound when something touched each other. They almost fainted from the shock. The wind blew so hard that they couldn't even open their eyes. The huge sound waves and movement directly destroyed the surrounding trees. Ning Shu and Hua Yang directly lay on the ground, holding their ears tightly. Ning Shu used spiritual energy to seal his ears, isolating them from the huge sound waves. Next to him, Hua Yang vomited blood. Ning Shu injected some spiritual energy into him. Ning Shu originally thought that it would be over soon, but he didn't expect the movement to get bigger and bigger. Even the ground began to tremble, like an earthquake. The sound waves became louder and louder, radiating to the surroundings with the two systems as the center. Many trees were cut in half and fell down like building blocks. Fortunately, this place was quite a distance away from the town. Otherwise, under such sound waves, one's brain and ears would be destroyed. He didn't know how long it would take. The power of this system was beyond Ning Shu's imagination. He didn't know if 2333 could handle it. Ning Shu didn't have a clear idea of 2333's strength at all. Well, she didn't know much about 2333. She didn't even know if his companion was a trash or a super god. She usually had a playful look on her face. Ning Shu waited and waited. Her body was covered with a layer of snow. The battle was still going on, and the ground was shaking especially hard. If this continued, maybe the crustal plates would shake and there would be problems. At that time, there would be an earthquake somewhere. Could 2333 do it or not? She didn't want to lose herself and then become a mission taker without a system. Hua Yang, who was next to her, guessed that he was about to die. The sound waves caused a lot of damage to the body. Although he was lying on the ground and avoided most of the sound waves, he still couldn't withstand it. Ning Shu slid down and pulled his leg, trying to drag him as far away as possible. Hua Yang. There was really something wrong. Gradually, the sound waves became less intense, and the movement also became smaller. Then, the surroundings became dead silent. Ning Shu shouted, 2333, I'm here. I've used up all my energy. I think I'll be dormant for a long time. You should focus on your mission. After that, 2333 went silent. Ning Shu breathed a sigh of relief. Luckily, he didn't die. Great risks came with great opportunities. Although 2333 said that he had used up all his energy, it showed how powerful this system was. As for whether 2333's energy was really used up, Ning Shu didn't know. Intuition told him that 2333 had made a big profit this time. But the mission was finally completed. This mission was really full of twists and turns. He had seen a powerful wild system. He didn't know how many wild systems there were in the billions of worlds. Ning Shu got up from the ground, brushed the snow off his body, and nudged Hua Yang with his foot. Get up. Hua Yang frowned and said stiffly, I have internal injuries. Ning Shu, BK. Chapter 2583. As they walked back, they saw the princess walking towards them. Ning Shu and Hua Yang quickly hid. Hua Yang clutched his chest as if she sure was holding his heart. He said stiffly, You left the child behind and went to the grave? Ning Shu followed the princess. Hua Yang dragged his injured body and followed. The princess moved to the grave and found that the surroundings were different. She found a house for her daughter. When she came back, the surrounding trees were all broken. She suspected that she had gone the wrong way. The princess's expression changed. She searched everywhere for the place where Lu Hao was buried. Was there something wrong with Lu Hao's body? The princess was so anxious that she cried. After finding the place, She dug with her hands until her fingers bled. After digging for a long time, the princess's hands were already bloody. Finally, she found Lu Hao's body. The princess saw that her husband's head and body were separated. He was buried with a full head and tail. Why was his head separated now? The princess hugged Lu Hao's head and cried heartbreakingly. She looked desperate and painful. Then she ran away with the head. Ning Shu quickly followed. Hua Yang felt that his organs hurt so much that he was about to vomit blood. The princess carried Lu Hao's head to a cliff. Without any hesitation, she jumped down. Ning Shu was speechless. Although he knew that the princess wanted to commit suicide, he didn't expect her to be so determined. She was probably triggered by the head. Hua Yang's stiff face was full of shock and confusion. He really abandoned his daughter and committed suicide? It's not suicide. It's suicide for love. Ning Shu turned and left. Anyway, the mission was completed. He exchanged the tea leaves and cloth for the new year. However, Hua Yang was injured internally. Although he had Ning Shu's spiritual energy, he couldn't walk anymore. So this time, Ning Shu went to exchange for things himself. Hua Yang didn't say anything. He stayed in Mountain Rock Town to recuperate. This scheming bitch was originally an expert. He didn't do anything serious, but his martial arts were high. He usually didn't help when he encountered bandits. Didn't his conscience feel uneasy when he saw him kill people? He came to help, but he ended up doing everything. He didn't hold back at all. Ning Shu felt very wronged. She had said several times that she was an expert, but in the end, no one believed her. What about the trust between people? Ning Shu led the caravan out of the pass. Once winter arrived, the wind outside the pass became even colder. When they arrived at the trading location, Ning Shu took out a few bags of tea bricks. Tea bricks were compressed tea leaves. This kind of tea leaves definitely didn't taste as good as loose tea leaves, but it could be used to make milk tea. These nomads like to drink goat's milk, so it would be better to boil it with tea. The tea bricks were quickly exchanged, but the cloth was not easy to get rid of. Because it was winter now, these people were all wearing fur, so there was not much demand for cloth. Ning Shu traded for what he could at a low price. Half a month later, they arrived at Mountain Stone Town. When they saw Hua Yang again, his face was no longer as pale as before. However, his face was still stiff and he had a sour expression on his face. However, Ning Shu saw that Hua Yang was holding a child in his arms. She was wearing a furry outfit and looked like she was carved out of jade. She was hugging his neck tightly. If she guessed correctly, this should be the princess's daughter. Why was Hua Yang holding her? Hua Yang said lightly, she was thrown in the snow. The people the princess entrusted to cheat her of the gold, silver, and jewelry, then threw the child away. She was so cold that she cried in the snow. I really couldn't bear it. Ning Shu just said, okay, you take her with you. The princess died happily. She didn't expect her daughter to be so young. Even if she was entrusted, how could they take care of her carefully? Some people didn't even love their own children. Why would they love someone else's child? Ning Shu also felt that there was another possibility for losing the child. They knew that the girl was the daughter of a rebel and didn't dare to take her in. They were also greedy for some money. The princess was lost. On the way back, Hua Yang finally couldn't help but gossip. How do you know that Lu Hao didn't die? And what's with the earthquake? Ning Shu was also confused. I don't know. But I know that more than 10 years ago, Lu Hao was working for my family. There was one time when he was like this. He was already dead. He didn't even breathe. Anyway, he was a dead person. But he came back to life. I'm guessing that's the case this time. The world is so big. Maybe someone can come back from the dead. Ning Shu had already thought of what to say. Then what's with the flying sand and stones and the earthquake? Ning Shu spread his hands. I don't know. Maybe it's the rolling dragon. Of course it's uncanny workmanship. There are many things that we can't understand. Hua Yang didn't say anything. Ning Shu said again, no matter what we face, we have to be calm. Hua Yang just glanced at her. She was so calm that she directly took a sword and chopped off her husband's head. Does old brother Pan know that his daughter is so cruel? Ning Shu said to him. Don't tell my father about this. My father is a long-winded person. If you guide him, he will think too much. He is also afraid that Lu Hao's matter will implicate the Pan family. It's better to hide it from him. Hua Yang just nodded. Ning Shu trusted Hua Yang's character. These people in the pugilistic world value their reputation more than their lives. Compared to such a person, she was even more lacking in moral integrity. Although they hurried when they reached home, it was already the new year. Traveling in winter was terrible. They couldn't sleep in such cold weather. They might freeze to death. When Squire Pan saw Hua Yang carrying a child, he asked where the child came from. Ning Shu only said that the child was picked up and thrown away by his parents. Squire Pan said, "Oh," and began to nag habitually. This time, they went to deliver goods. This time, it took longer. Did he know how anxious, desperate, and worried his family was? They couldn't eat or sleep. Since she divorced, she felt that Squire Pan had become more naggy. She guessed that he was afraid that his daughter couldn't figure it out. Even if he went to deliver goods, it was also to relieve his worries. Ning Shu took out the gifts he prepared for Squire Pan. It was medicinal wine from beyond the Great Wall. He also gave Xiao Chui a jade bracelet. "You don't have to give me anything. I will be relieved if you stay at home," Squire Pan said with a smile. Ning Shu smiled and nodded. Hua Yang, who had been holding a wooden stick, said, "Old brother Pan, don't worry. Your daughter's kung fu is not bad. At least, she could travel in the pugilistic world." Squire Pan and Xiao Chui didn't believe him. "She is a girl. How can she know kung fu?" Ning Shu shrugged at Hua Yang. "See, sometimes no one believed the truth. It was really hopeless. /BK. Chapter 2584. After talking for a while, Squire Pan was tired and started to eat dinner. During the night watch, Squire Pan asked Ning Shu to go to bed early so that he didn't have to stay up all night. He was travel-worn and his body couldn't take it. Hua Yang's mouth twitched when he saw Squire Pan treating his daughter as if she was a piece of soft tofu. Her body was strong enough to jump around. Besides, she had traveled back and forth several times. She wasn't that weak. "Brother Hua, don't mind her. My daughter has been spoiled since she was a child." "Hua Yang, as long as you're happy." "Brother Hua Yang, are you interested in running a delivery business with us? With your skills, I'm sure you'll have a smooth journey," Squire Pan said cheerfully. Ning Shu popped his head out and said, "Yes. With Uncle Hua's skills, you'll be invincible." Hua Yang was a little frightened. "Uncle?" Pan Wenlon was 25 years old. He was not even 30 yet, but she called him uncle. He was being polite to Squire Pan. That was how people in the martial arts world addressed him. Did she think she was a little girl? Hua Yang didn't agree to stay. He was determined to become a hero and pursue a higher level of martial arts. Besides, traveling in the martial arts world was very free. Running a business was tiring. "Thank you, Squire Pan. But I'm not suitable for running a business. Running this kind of business is like traveling all over the world. Besides, you still have a child to feed." Hua Yang, child? Hua Yang suddenly remembered that he had picked up a child and had never thought of raising her. Hua Yang couldn't help but look at Ning Shu. Ning Shu said directly, "I didn't pick up this child." Hua Yang's face stiffened. "She's your husband's child." "My husband's child?" Squire Pan was surprised. "Where did this child come from?" Ning Shu said tiredly, "I'm tired. Tell me what happened." Hua Yang said, "Lu Hao rebelled. The princess committed suicide and left a child behind." Hua Yang told him the story very simply. Squire Pan, so this was the child of Lu Hao and the princess. Squire Pan's expression was very complicated. Damn it. These two people were enemies to the Pan family. Why did they want to raise a child? Could it be that his daughter was too kind and wanted to keep this child? If she wanted to raise him, then so be it. Anyway, the child was still young now. When he grew up, he would definitely not remember anything. When Ning Shu returned to the room, Xiao Chui hurriedly dusted the bed for Ning Shu and made the quilt. She asked, "Princess, the child brought back by Hero Hua is your daughter." Xiao Chui had stayed in the Lu residence for a long time. Even if the princess was not willing to take the child out of the courtyard, she could still see her once or twice. That child was the princess's child. Ning Shu explained the matter to Xiao Chui. Xiao Chui's mouth twitched. I don't understand what the princess is thinking. Even if she wants to entrust her daughter to someone else, she should be sent to the capital. The child's grandfather is the emperor. Ning Shu felt that Xiao Chui's words were reasonable. Moreover, if they raised this child in the future, the emperor would remember that he had a granddaughter and discover that she was in their home. According to the emperor's paranoia, he might have imagined something. However, he felt that even if this child returned to the capital, she would not be any better. Although she did not have to worry about food and clothing, she would definitely be bullied. A child without parents to protect her, who knew what she would grow up to be in the future. It would be fine if the emperor took pity on her, but it would be fine if he did not. The next day, Ning Shu asked Hua Yang what he planned to do with this child. He directly said that the Pan family might not raise this child. In the past, they could be said to be incompatible with the princess. Now that they were raising the child, no one would believe that the Pan family would treat the child well. Moreover, Ning Shu did not want anything to do with the Pan family in Mountain Stone Town. He did not want people to suspect anything. Hua Yang's face was pale. At that time, he saw the child crying in the snow and could not find a place to go. She was very pitiful, so he carried the child. Only then did he realize that this child's identity was very troublesome. If he wanted to travel the Jianghu, would he have to bring a child with him? Then he would send her to the palace. Think of an excuse yourself. How did you meet this child? Don't get yourself involved, Ning Shu said directly. If he went to send the child, he would not be detained. What if the emperor was angry? Ordinary people could not afford to offend him. Hua Yang nodded. After the new year, he planned to take the child to the capital. The child was very dependent on Hua Yang. She was very obedient in Hua Yang's arms. When no one cared about her and her mother disappeared, this uncle probably saved her. Ning Shu, there was an 80% chance that this child would be ruined by Hua Yang. If Hua Yang was not cruel, then yes, he would take the child to travel the Jianghu in the future. She was still a little girl. It would be very inconvenient. When Hua Yang was about to leave, he saw Ning Shu laughing mischievously and waving her handkerchief. He felt that she was very unlucky and scheming. Xiao Chui, Miss, why do I feel that Hero Hua's face is more serious than before? Ning Shu, probably to establish the dignity of an elder in front of the child. It snowed heavily during the new year. When Ning Shu was bored, he wrote down the secret manual of the peerless martial arts so that the person who commissioned it could cultivate it when they came back. Moreover, with one more person cultivating it, there would be one more belief. Although it did not obviously help the peerless martial arts. Many a little makes a mickle. Xiao Chui, do you want to practice the peerless martial arts with Miss? Ning Shu asked Xiao Chui. No, I don't want to. Ning Shu, practice more. In the future, when you travel the world with Miss, how can you travel without a good body? It was not like in modern times, where you could get to the destination after sleeping on the carriage. In modern times, you either had to rely on your legs or the horse's legs. In short, it was very difficult to travel around the world in ancient times. Just strengthen your body. It was to add a belief to the peerless martial arts. Xiao Chui could not persuade Ning Shu. She followed Ning Shu's instructions. However, Xiao Chui was not interested in this aspect. She would rather embroider, make knee pads, or make gloves. Ning Shu did not force her. She was not in danger yet. In the future, she would know how important strength was if she encountered danger. Unless she stopped following him in the future. He did not know if the person who commissioned it would continue to do this business when he came back. After traveling around and seeing so many things, he would not think so much. Other people did not have the means to do so, but Squire Pan was a very open-minded father. After the new year, Dong Shui began to melt slowly. After the cold of spring, Ning Shu felt that it was time to go on the road. This time, he brought some Central Plains jewelry, rouge, face powder, and so on. Tea was a must. In short, he brought more things so that he could exchange them for more things when the time came. Now that Mountain Stone Town was peaceful, he made a few more trips. In the future, more and more people would come to sell goods. Chapter 2585. The more people there were, the less profit there would be. He had to be the first to do anything. Just as Ning Shu was about to leave, Hua Yang came back with the child. Ning Shu. The Squire Pan asked, "Didn't you give the child to the emperor?" Hua Yang was very helpless. Not only did he pull a long face, but he also frowned. It was obvious that he was really worried. The child insisted on following me. She hugged my leg and wouldn't let me go. The emperor had no choice but to let me take her away. Is this really his granddaughter? Ning Shu. Even a son wouldn't care, let alone a granddaughter whose father was a rebel. Even if he didn't kill her, it was still a good thing that someone was willing to raise her. Ning Shu, didn't you give her any benefits? Raising a granddaughter for free? Should she be grateful for raising a child for you? You can't bully people like this. She gave me some banknotes. I don't want those things. That's for the child's dowry, Ning Shu retorted. Hua Yang. Ning Shu looked at Hua Yang sympathetically. Poor thing. It's really not easy to raise a child. She has to learn to read and write and prepare a dowry. Hua Yang silently watched the scheming bitch speak. Her compassionate expression made Hua Yang's stomach ache. Every time she showed this expression, it was full of hypocrisy and calculation. Hua Yang felt that this was the first time he met such a shameless person after so many years in the martial arts world. Lu Hao was really pitiful. He didn't even know who was behind his death. If Lu Hao could get such a woman to help him, he would definitely succeed. Lu Hao, that idiot, probably didn't even know what kind of person his wife was. Ning Shu saw that Hua Yang didn't respond and thought that he was really a master of awkward silence. You're destined to be alone for the rest of your life. Actually, you can leave the child with the Pan family. Although the Pan family isn't a rich family, the child can still learn to read and write, Ning Shu said. He's your husband's child. You should be responsible for him. No, he is my ex-husband's child, and this child has nothing to do with me. Hua Yang was still struggling. He wanted to kick the child to Ning Shu. Then it has nothing to do with me. Ning Shu said with pity, how is it not related? You picked her up, so you have to be responsible for her. If you don't want to be responsible, you can throw her away. Since you didn't throw her away, you have to be responsible. Hua Yang was speechless. Why did he meet such a person? He shouldn't have returned the favor in the first place. He wouldn't have met such a scheming bitch. Old Brother Pan still went against his conscience every day and said that his daughter was really pitiful. She was divorced and didn't have any children, blah blah blah. This family was so weird. That's enough. Don't quarrel. Squire Pan saw Hua Yang's red face and neck. It was really difficult for him. But Squire Pan hated Lu Hao, and now he had to raise Lu Hao's child, so he couldn't do it. Did he owe Lu Hao something in his previous life? Not only did he sponsor Lu Hao, but now he had to raise his daughter, and it was the daughter of a princess. Ning Shu said, it's not easy for you to take care of a child in the Jianghu. How about this? Leave the child with the Pan family and work as a delivery man for the Pan family for 5 years. We'll split the profit. You have to prepare a dowry for the child in advance. If there's a lot of dowry, no one will bully her in the future. Hua Yang was speechless. He was so angry that he laughed. 5 years? Why don't you do it for 10 or 20 years? If you want, it's okay. Hua Yang really didn't have a choice. If he left the child to someone else, she would hug his leg and not let go. She looked at him like she was holding a grape. It made his heart ache and uncomfortable. But it was very troublesome to stay by her side. 5 years is too long. Then how long do you want? Ning Shu asked. 3 years. Okay. When it was time to leave, the child hugged Hua Yang's leg and cried heartbreakingly. Ning Shu said, then bring her along. If I can bring her along, I'd rather take her to the Jianghu. Are you sure? At least Xiao Cui and I can bathe and dress her. Are you sure you want to do all these things? Do you think your 3 years are in vain? Hua Yang was speechless. What's so great about being eloquent? Anyway, she always had a lot of reasons to make you speechless. Squire Pan said with a complicated expression, "Do you really want to raise this child?" "No, it's Master Hua's responsibility." So the caravan and the child set off. This time, they prepared a lot of food. The dried meat tasted good when it was stewed with soup. "When we reach the border, give the child more milk to drink. She'll be in good health," Ning Shu said to Hua Yang. Hua Yang couldn't convince himself that he hadn't been cheated. Ning Shu still wanted to find the world's origin. She hadn't found it for a long time. When exchanging things, Ning Shu would ask the locals if there were any special mountains or terrain, or if it was a hot place with strong wind. This kind of place was usually uninhabited. Ning Shu would also ask Hua Yang. Even if Hua Yang wanted to travel, he would go to places with people. Why would he go to places with no people? Occasionally, there would be abnormal situations. Ning Shu would run over to take a look. There was no world's origin. Maybe it was brewing. But her mission had been completed. She had to leave this world. She couldn't wait for the world's origin to mature. She felt stifled. Mission completed. Leaving the mission world. This time, it wasn't 2333's voice that reminded Ning Shu. It was a very mechanical voice. 2333 probably went to enjoy his meal. The system didn't wait for Ning Shu's reply. It didn't care where Ning Shu was now and directly sent Ning Shu back to the system space. Ning Shu was speechless. "I'm on a horse. What if my face hits the ground when I suddenly leave my body? It's not very humane." This time, there was a lot of soul origin. It was almost half a basin. It was yellow. He handed over so much soul fluid in exchange for half a basin of soul origin. However, there was quite a lot of soul power. He kept the soul power and used it when he needed it. He threw the peerless martial art into the basin. The peerless martial art greedily absorbed the soul origin. The origin disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ning Shu's heart clenched. It was too painful. If he sold so much soul fluid, he would definitely be drowned in merit. The cracks on the peerless martial art flashed with a faint light. Then the cracks disappeared. Although there were still many cracks on it, compared to before, there were much fewer cracks. It was also much thicker. There was hope to repair it. However, when he thought about the unsolvable law of nothingness, he wanted to curse. Chapter 2586. What if the law of nothingness collapses after she painstakingly repairs the world, destroying or swallowing the entire world? Don't worry about things that haven't happened yet. Repair the world first. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the sofa, absorbing the soul power, and then opened the status panel. Name, Ning Shu. Age, 27 level, Super Mission Enforcer Contribution Card, 342 plus 20, 10 million for 1 contribution card. Soul, 30 plus 2 health, 26 plus 2 wisdom, 32 plus 2 luck, 32 plus 2 charm, 25 plus 2 mental power, 35 plus 2 martial power, 31 plus 2 aptitude, 34 plus 2 faith, 6076494 merit, 0 plus 5000 soul strength, 114 plus 5 authorization ticket, plus 1 pure heart, none law comprehended, water law incarnation, wood law incarnation, constructed world, reincarnation world tools, calm aura, calming pill, faith aura, amulet 4, upgraded amulet plus 2. Honorary titles, goddess of war, selfless ancestor skills, 5th ring shooting technique, intermediate fighting technique, intermediate level poison technique, beginner level business management knowledge, beginner level code programming, beginner level lawyer skill, sage ghost catching skill, beginner level cooking skill, intermediate level embroidery skill, trash hypnosis aura, mother of the world, queen's blessing, sister model worker, Chen Shi's blessing, leader aura, grass blessing, best. Friend of a lifetime, Meow Meow Meow's blessing, life-saving hand, Zhu Susu's blessing, founding woman, Chen Ermiai's blessing, beauty-in-law, Chen Ning's blessing, bane of the blood clan, Jasmine's blessing, transcending race communication, by Sanyang's blessing, brave heart, Wang Ying's blessing, Bloodthirsty Tyrant, Anai Binyan's Blessing, Heart of Peace and Joy, Luck Aura, Faith Aura. Complete the Wish of Pan Wanlun. Mission completion rate, 100%. Mission rewards obtained, 20-point cards, 16 attribute points, 80% soul power, 15,000 faith power, including accumulated in previous worlds. In addition, 40% soul power, 40% soul source, faith aura. An additional 50,000 merit points. What's so good about the faith aura? Another aura? Could it be that she could become a charlatan in the future, and then people would believe in her? Ning Shu clicked on the search system to check the effects of the halo of faith. It was generated by faith and worship, and it was easy to gain the trust of others. Good stuff. His recent quests had been pretty good, and he had received 3 auras. As expected, he had to take it slow when doing quests. He didn't pursue quantity, but quality had to be good. Ning Shu secretly opened the moguls group and wanted to take a peek. He wanted to see what kind of high-end topics these moguls were talking about. He might even find out some secrets about the hobbies of these big shots. Well, in short, Ning Shu felt that he could peek at a lot of things. When he opened it, he saw someone holding a few lumps of wool and asking which color of wool looked better. Ning Shu's face was expressionless. Last time, she saw this person asking, "Why haven't you decided yet after such a long time?" Was it really that difficult to choose the color of a sweater? Ning Shu deeply doubted that he had joined a group of housewives instead of some high-class big shots group. Why couldn't they talk about some positive topics? There were many people who suggested that the red one looked better, and some said that the white one looked better. Ning Shu felt that the green one looked better, and it would look better if it was woven into a green hat. Could it be that these big shots had returned to normal and were now living the lives of ordinary people? Grand Uncle, the 2 worlds are about to break. Come and pretend to be a living being. Originally, they were just knitting sweaters, but suddenly, someone appeared and said that the plane was broken and they needed a world to carry living beings. Everyone immediately said that there was a problem with their world. Anyway, there were all kinds of strange reasons. Grand Uncle, the one knitting wool. Instead of doing quests, you're knitting sweaters all day long. Are you going to freeze to death or something? If you're going to freeze to death, it's useless to wear a sweater. The guy knitting the sweater was very innocent. I'm not wearing the sweater I knit. I'm giving it to someone. Grand Uncle, go and do quests. Don't fucking knit sweaters and sew shawls. If the number of quests doesn't meet the requirements, do as you see fit. Ning Shu asked, when will the check be done? How many quests meet the requirement? Grand Uncle, don't you know these things yourself? Ning Shu. Number B. No, I'm arrogant. The person knitting the sweater quickly went offline. The Grand Uncle didn't say anything either. He probably went to get a living being. 2 planes were broken. How many living beings were there? There must be star stones on the fragments of the planes. The star stones were like 2 sides of glue stuck between the planes. Therefore, there must be star stones on the planes. He really wanted them. At the thought of buying such a piece of star stones that cost millions of merit points, Ning Shu felt as if his heart was being dug out. Someone said to Ning Shu, "Don't ask the judge about such trivial matters. You'll be scolded if you ask. Also, you're asking the wrong person. You should ask the main system. He only needs to kill people." Ning Shu was a little speechless. In the past, he had told the silver-haired man to deal with everything that needed to be dealt with. However, not long after, he started to deal with unqualified mission takers. Ning Shu thought he would care. Ning Shu asked, "What are the benefits of taking in such creatures?" It was probably because they saw that Ning Shu had a world of reincarnation. Ning Shu asked, and many people in the group answered him. There's a lot of merit to be gained. However, such foreign creatures still have a great impact on the original world. It's like a species invasion. Some may be unusually fierce, and some may go extinct in another world. If the world carrier you build is awesome and has many worlds, it doesn't matter. However, if there are few worlds, don't take in such foreign creatures. It's very likely that it will cause the collapse of the world. It seemed that there were no other benefits apart from merit points. Ning Shu asked again, What if we don't care? What if we don't care about these creatures? Regardless of the impact it will have on the surrounding planes, if living creatures or souls escape to the surrounding planes, we don't know what impact it will have. At that time, we mission takers will still have to do missions bitterly. Since someone answered, Ning Shu might as well get to the bottom of it. Ning Shu. If we enter the mission taker's world and these creatures destroy the mission taker's world, what should we do? We'll move to other places. When we move again, we'll make a selection to find a world that can keep these creatures in check. Ning Shu was speechless. What a suffocating truth. No wonder mission takers who built worlds were precious. However, what was precious was these awesome mission takers who built these worlds. There was always a higher mountain. In the past, he wanted to build a world to protect his life, but now there were more advanced ones. Building a world was nothing. Building many worlds was more interesting. If he wanted to build, he had to build a better world. He hoped to find a good world carrier. Chapter 2587. Ning Shu looked at the names in the chat list. These were all Big Shot's names. She couldn't find the silver-haired man's name. Speaking of which, she never knew his name. If she asked him, he might ask her for money. Ning Shu looked around, but she couldn't find Ah Wan's name. How could it be? How could Ah Wan's name not be there? Instead, she saw a few feminine names. She didn't know if they were women. Maybe they were Big Shots in women's clothing. Ning Shu clicked on His Excellency and greeted, "Big Shot, are you planting flowers?" He probably wouldn't pay attention to her. His Excellency would only move when he saw benefits. At other times, he was calm as if Mount Tai wouldn't collapse in front of him. He was very cold. After waiting for a while, seeing that His Excellency was ignoring her, Ning Shu planned to close the chat group. She went to the 9 Palace Mountain. Although the 3rd level was barren, there was still the 4th level. Even if she couldn't enter the 4th level, there must be a lot of soul fluid on the 2nd level. After all, she only took away the soul fluid in the palace. After so many years, there must be a lot of soul fluid produced. Maybe she could find some. She probably needed a lot of soul origin before the world could be repaired. Just as she was about to leave the group, Ning Shu saw Grand Uncle shouting, saying that another plane was broken and needed someone. In just a short while, she heard that 3 planes were destroyed. She felt a little scared. Ning Shu planned to withdraw from the chat system. It was useless even if she knew. She didn't even build a system and couldn't help. Ding dong, His Excellency replied. Ning Shu took a look and saw that blood-red flowers had grown on the rotten corpses of a few Brother Zheng. Ning Shu, His Excellency, do you want to see my flowers? Ning Shu, no, I don't want to see them at all. She was just being polite, but he actually sent a picture. He was crazy. Flower crazy demon. Did he think that everyone had the same aesthetic standards as him? Some people were so busy that they could fly, while others planted flowers every day. Ning Shu avoided the topic of flowers and asked first, "Big Shot, I just want to ask you, how was your bone army born?" Abyssal Prefect, of course. Ning Shu was speechless. I don't believe it. There must be some secret technique, but he doesn't want to tell her. Ning Shu did not ask any more questions. When he disconnected the call, he said, "This flower doesn't look very good." Ning Shu dove into the peerless martial art. Some mist floated on the surface of the law of nothingness, but it was no longer bubbling. The law of nothingness didn't seem to grow bigger, but it also didn't shrink. In short, it just lay there in its world, making people grit their teeth. How was he going to get rid of it? When he was a little stronger, he would find someone to help him get it out. Right now, she was just a small fry and no one cared about her. Once the reincarnation world developed normally and someone wanted to take over the reincarnation world, the prerequisite would be to help me move the law of nothingness out of the world. Ning Shu's green rain was like a torrential downpour, using up all the energy in the wood law imprint. This poor world. Ning Shu exited the peerless martial art and saw a bouquet of flowers on the coffee table in the system space. In a white porcelain vase, there was a flower so red that it could drip blood. One red and one white, making the vase and the red flower look coquettish and dazzling. There was also a fragrance, which became stronger and stronger. After a while, the entire system space was filled with this fragrance. Ning Shu, it seems a little familiar. Wasn't this the flower that grew from His Excellency's corpse? Why did it suddenly appear in her system space? What was going on? Did she just enter the peerless martial art? Someone sent it here, the system said coldly. Ning Shu was speechless. When Ning Shu saw this flower, he thought of it growing on a corpse, fluttering in the wind. Ning Shu covered his nose. He felt that he wasn't smelling the fragrance of flowers, but the smell of rotting corpses. With a ding-dong, the chat system rang. Ning Shu covered his nose and opened it. It was His Excellency. His Excellency, did you receive the flower? It's pretty, right? Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu felt that he had said something bad in the end. Now that the flowers were sent over, he had to shut her up and admit that the flowers were beautiful. If he hadn't said something bad, would the flowers have been sent over continuously? Ning Shu. Very unique. Even though he was a spiritual body, Ning Shu felt that he was about to suffocate. This was a big yiksha, who insisted on learning to be cultured and taking care of flowers. His Excellency, there are other colors. Do you want them? Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu, flowers are also life. They will hurt, cry, and shed tears. It's better not to. If they are so beautiful, if you pluck them, they will soon lose their vitality and wither. She was forced to become a cultured young woman. His Excellency agreed with Ning Shu. If it weren't for the fact that I wanted you to see the flowers I cultivated up close, I wouldn't be willing to pluck them. Ning Shu set up a barrier to cover the vase, so that the fragrance wouldn't spread and be stuffed into a corner. He really couldn't appreciate the beauty of this kind of flower. His Excellency might even try to grow flowers from different corpses. He was speechless. He felt that his whole person was not good. Ning Shu opened the black hole and went directly into the world of reincarnation. The world of reincarnation seemed to have grown another leaf and developed another world. Was it really okay to give birth to worlds so frequently? Ning Shu was very worried. He estimated that the pool of reincarnation could no longer provide for it. Ning Shu returned to the system space and fed the stored soul power to the world. Since the birth of the pool of reincarnation, Ning Shu rarely fed the soul power. Now that another world was born, Ning Shu was afraid that the pool of reincarnation couldn't provide for it. It would be malnourished and deformed. Counting carefully, there were now 5 worlds. These worlds were close together like a series of bubbles. There were star stones between these worlds, otherwise they wouldn't be so close together. Ning Shu needed star stones now, but he didn't dare to go to the gaps between the worlds. If something happened to the worlds, it would be a loss for the greater. At most, he would spend some money to buy star stones. He couldn't pay the price of destroying his own world. When he arrived at the world of reincarnation, Ning Shu went to the first level to see the pool of reincarnation. Now the pool of reincarnation was his treasure. So many worlds depended on the pool of reincarnation to live. When he got into the hole, he found that there were many people at the entrance. The Thunder Kirin was facing a group of people. These people's souls were very strong, and their strength was also quite strong. They should be very strong souls before this world became the world of reincarnation. At least 20 people were confronting the Thunder Kirin. The Thunder Kirin was very angry. It swung its tail and the breath it exhaled was filled with thunder. What are you doing? Ning Shu looked at these people silently. Did they want to beat the Thunder Kirin down? Did they want to go out and have fun in the outside world? You actually came in from the outside. Why didn't the Thunder Beast spit at her? Why can't I go out? Chapter 2588. When these people saw Ning Shu come in from outside, they began to discuss. This beast was blocking them from leaving, so why could this person come in? The sudden change in the world caught many people off guard. The yin and yang of heaven and earth were in chaos. There was no sunlight and the world was green. Everyone became souls, but the resources were getting fewer and fewer. There were not enough soul stones for cultivation. Those who were smart would naturally choose to find a way out. As for the rebirth pool, Those who were slightly smarter would not jump into it. The message from the rebirth pool was that one could be reborn and start a new life. But ghosts did not know what would happen after they were reborn. Rather than being reborn, it was better to pursue a new path. If there was no hole in this world, it would be fine. But now that there was a hole, the curiosity and adventure in their hearts began to stir. So many people are attacking one person. Do you have any morals? Ning Shu looked at these people and said, "You are also a soul, right? Why are you standing with a beast? Why can you go out? What is the outside world like?" "Yes, how did you get out? Why didn't he attack you?" A group of people asked Ning Shu at the same time. Ning Shu could not help but pick his ears. His ears were buzzing. What they could not accept the most was why she stood beside the lightning beast and did not attack. As soon as they approached the hole, the lightning beast would strike them with lightning like crazy. The feeling of being struck by something as extreme as lightning was simply exhilarating. The weaker ones would have their souls scattered. So jealous. Jealousy makes me explode. Ning Shu brushed her hair and said directly, "Because I am beautiful." "What are you doing? Go out? You can't go out and get killed." "Then why can you go out?" "Ning Shu, I already said it is because I am beautiful." Did they not understand? The thunder beast at the side snorted and looked at these souls warily. There were too many of them, so it could only block the entrance to prevent some people from taking advantage of the situation to enter. Everyone felt rather helpless. As long as they did not exceed the limit, the lightning beast would not attack them. However, if they did, they would be attacked. Trying to lure the tiger away from the mountain didn't work, so this beast directly used its butt to block the entrance of the cave. Then what was behind them? Why didn't they let them pass? The more he didn't let him do it, the more curious he became, the more rebellious he became. He even wondered if there was some kind of peerless treasure inside, which was why this beast was guarding this place and not leaving. Some experts had seen the birth of this lightning beast, but they didn't know why it was guarding this place. His heart was itching, and he could already imagine the many treasures inside. Everyone stared at Ning Shu with greedy eyes. "You came out from there. What's inside?" "There's nothing. It's pitch black. The ground is covered in black sand. There's not even a blade of grass," Ning Shu said directly. Obviously, no one believed what Ning Shu said. They all snorted disdainfully. "Then there's nothing. Why don't you let this beast pass?" "Because you're ugly." Was there a need to tell them the reason? Even if he said that they couldn't go out to the outside world, what was the use of a long speech? Their hearts wouldn't give up. Some people looked at Ning Shu with laser-like eyes, feeling that he must have something good on him. Ning Shu's heart was still as water in the face of these rude gazes. He said indifferently, "Hurry up and leave. Don't let your souls scatter." When Ning Shu said this, he had already warmed up his neck. In any case, he would try peaceful means before resorting to force. If they really listened and left, then he wouldn't have to make a move. But if they didn't leave, he would definitely have to get rid of these thorns. These souls should be the strongest people in this level. He could not get rid of these thorns. Otherwise, they would be thinking about the outside world every day. A suppressed Hell's emissary was not enough to intimidate these people. You think you can leave just because you say so? Or you? The juniors nowadays are getting more and more arrogant. The expert looked at Ning Shu from the corner of his eyes. "I'm quite young, unlike you who have lived for a long time," Ning Shu said calmly. The thunder beast next to him was already preparing a big move. It stomped its hooves impatiently. Obviously, it was annoyed by these people. These people who crossed the boundary were its enemies. If they didn't do their duty well, it might lead to death. So even though there were so many people, they couldn't do anything to a desperate Thunder Kylan. Ning Shu tilted his head and asked, "So, you don't want to leave, right?" Their souls were so powerful. He had earned a lot. Usually, they just stayed in the world of samsara. Who would care about them? If they made trouble, they would be suppressed. The people on the opposite side gave a signal and scattered to deal with Ning Shu and the Thunder Kylan. The Thunder Kylan directly spat out balls of red thunder and lightning. As long as they touched the thunder and lightning, their souls would scatter. Ning Shu stretched out his vines and rushed toward these people. He felt that it was meaningless to use vines, so he directly took out a big knife. This big knife was exchanged for with many military merits. He raised the big knife and rushed toward these people. This kind of big knife could even cut through the hard bodies of monsters and insects, not to mention these souls. Cutting the souls was like cutting a piece of paper. It was easy and simple. Their bodies were cut in two, and their souls were weakened a lot. These people's faces changed and they looked at Ning Shu vigilantly. Who are you? Who cares who I am? If you can't beat me, you have to tell me who you are. In this world, even the Emperor can't do anything to me, Ning Shu said directly. The reincarnation pool attracted some weak souls, and even some souls without intelligence. For such a powerful soul, those tricks to confuse people's minds were useless. Since it was useless, he directly pushed them in. If they didn't come to provoke him, it would be fine. But if he let them go this time, they would endlessly come to harass the Thunder Kylin. There would always be a time when he was tired. If he didn't pay attention, these people would slip out. The Thunder Kylin spat out a thunder net. As long as one was trapped by the thunder net, their souls would suffer unbearable pain and become weaker. They couldn't even dodge and would be turned to dust. Ning Shu tied the souls to the side of the reincarnation pool and kicked them in one by one. Since they wanted to be demons, they would be reincarnated. How dare you? Do you know who I am? The soul that was kicked in immediately roared at Ning Shu. I don't care who you are. I don't care who your father is. If you fall, you fall. You can forget about getting up. The people in the reincarnation pool struggled hard to get up, but the moment they touched the water of the reincarnation pool, they felt like they had fallen into sticky glue. They couldn't move their hands and feet. They felt like they were drowning. Chapter 2589. What was even more frightening was that his consciousness had become very blurry, and his strength had been sucked away. He no longer remembered who he was, where he was, and what had happened. He felt helpless and panicked. The reincarnation pool didn't care how you fell in, whether you fell in because you were confused, fell in accidentally, or was pushed in by someone. If you fell, you fell. There was no reason to send you back. If you fell, it was a forced default that you were going to be reincarnated. The soul power would be sucked away, and the 7 emotions and 6 desires would be taken away. You would have no memory at all, and your mind would become a blank piece of paper. You wouldn't remember the past, and you wouldn't remember the world of reincarnation. The next time you came to the world of reincarnation, you wouldn't remember that you had been here before. When the bound souls saw the souls that fell in, they made a splash and then calmed down. Their hearts were filled with fear. They said that they were going to be reincarnated. Maybe they were swallowed. In short, the things that ordinary souls yearned for weren't the things that these powerful souls yearned for. One by one, they started a crusade against Ning Shu. They brought up their families and their sections. However, all this didn't matter to Ning Shu. Even if he offended these families and sects, he would immediately run away and these people wouldn't be able to find him. If they really came to find him, he might be able to push more people into the reincarnation pool. One powerful soul was equivalent to 20 or 30 ordinary souls. If he pushed them in, he could even increase the soul power of his world. In any case, Ning Shu was fearless. These were all powerful people of the current era. They were all destroyed here. In the future, if anyone wanted to go out, they wouldn't dare to act recklessly with the lesson of the past. Therefore, he had to do something that could benefit him in one fell swoop. It was really necessary to kill the chicken to warn the monkey, just like how she had been frightened by others before. If he made these people disappear without a trace, it would also make others feel more at ease. At least, they would think twice before doing anything. Ning Shu kicked them one by one, sending them into the reincarnation pool like dumplings. Soon, they were submerged in the reincarnation pool. Even if they were submerged, it would probably take a lot of time to get rid of the 7 emotions and 6 desires and various poisons in the soul. These powerful souls were formed by absorbing many soul stones. The poisons in the soul stones were also absorbed into the soul. The effect of the rebirth pool should be the bleaching effect. Ning Shu did not see any merit on these souls. Not only did some of them not have any merit, but they were also shrouded in black fog. People like these would probably not end up in a good family even after they were reborn. The rebirth pool was more lenient towards people with good karma and luck. It would not extract too much soul power. Before the soul was exhausted, the soul could reincarnate a few more times. However, to purify a soul that was shrouded in black mist, it was very strenuous. What could he do if it was strenuous? He had to extract more soul energy. In that case, the number of times this soul could be reincarnated would decrease. The pool of rebirth had the function of a trial. In fact, it was the conservation of energy. The more time and energy I spent on you, the more you would receive in return. It was mandatory, so there was nothing to say. Li Si, no matter when he saw her, she was always so violent. She would kick people down one by one, regardless of whether they were willing or not. Li Si had very complicated feelings towards this lady. He had never seen such a cruel person, and a woman at that. So much so that he was a little traumatized. Fortunately, the young master jumped down on his own and was not kicked down by him. Ning Shu grabbed the vine. Ning Shu covered his hand and felt the wood law imprint burning. Previously, he had added some life force to the peerless martial art. He had planned to go to the city of wood, but he had forgotten about it because of the abyssal prefect. When he came here, he met some people who wanted to explore the outside world. Ning Shu patted the dust off his hands and waved at Li Si. Li Si stood up, and Ning Shu walked over. However, he stopped a distance away from Ning Shu. He was afraid that she would get addicted to kicking people and kick him down. He still had to wait for the young master. If not for the young master's soul, the young master would not have jumped down. He did not know when the young master would come back. He hoped that the young master would come back soon, but he did not want him to die before he could enjoy life. Ning Shu asked, "Is there any problem with the Lake of Rebirth?" Li Si shook his head, his neck cracking. "There's no problem. It was just that he saw a lot of people foolishly jumping in. If anything happens, remember to inform me." Ning Shu now cared about the Lake of Rebirth as if it was his own eye. There was no choice. There were so many worlds waiting for it to feed. Great Aunt. Ning Shu saw Li Si's hesitant expression. It was hard to describe the shy expression on his skeleton's face. "What is it? Do you know what the young master was born into? Was it a man or a woman?" "The world is so big. How would I know? I really don't know." It was very difficult to find a person who had passed away. Moreover, the soul was constantly changing. Maybe the next time Li Si saw his young master, the young master would have become a beautiful lady. Maybe Li Si wouldn't even recognize him. After instructing Li Si, Ning Shu went to the entrance of the cave and said to the Thunder Qilin, "If anyone dares to barge in, just kill them." The Thunder Qilin probably didn't know that it was going to throw its soul into the Lake of Rebirth. It wouldn't leave the cave. The Thunder Qilin laid on the ground and snorted. Ning Shu said, "Move aside, I want to go out." This fellow used its fat butt to block the entrance. So what if it had a big butt? The Thunder Qilin closed its eyes. Lightning flashed with every breath it took, and it ignored Ning Shu. Ning Shu was speechless. There was no choice. Ning Shu opened the black hole and went out. He couldn't push it away, right? It was covered in lightning. If he touched it, his hair would explode. It consumed his soul power. He felt like it had been unhappy with him for a long time. Didn't he just enter from the entrance every time? After leaving the Nine Palace Mountain, Ning Shu entered the second level. How was he going to find Yi Lin in such a big world? Ning Shu went to take a look at a few cities. These cities were already abandoned, with dilapidated fences and dilapidated walls. No one had rebuilt them. It would be a big project to rebuild them. He had to move these things away first and then rebuild them. If he had the time, he might as well find a new place to cultivate. Ning Shu was very satisfied. At least now, the few cities that concentrated on refining soul fluid were gone. Ning Shu's fingers moved and formed a ray of light. This ray of light flew towards the sky. Ning Shu quickly followed the ray of light to find Yi Lin. Yi Lin cultivated a peerless martial art. Although she couldn't cultivate now, she could feel it since they were from the same sect. While flying in the clouds, Ning Shu looked down and saw traces of human life in some places. There were even villages. Chapter 2590. In short, humans could survive under any harsh conditions. Of course, there were definitely many strong people in this world. This pattern had been broken, and it wouldn't disappear quickly. There were still people who knew how to refine soul fluid. But if people were scattered like this, the person who refined the soul fluid couldn't immediately imprison the souls, and these souls would enter the world of reincarnation. Gradually, this world would become a world without souls. Of course, there were also ghost cultivators who used this method to avoid entering the world of reincarnation. The scattered light became very weak, probably because its energy was exhausted. Ning Shu made another streak of scattered light and flew for a while. This guy was quite good at running. He ran so far. When they were about to reach their destination, the scattered light lit up. Ning Shu stood on the clouds and saw a magnificent immortal land. Like Penglai, the magnificent buildings towered into the clouds, faintly discernible in the white fog. Ning Shu rubbed his eyes. This couldn't be a mirage, right? Yi Lin actually found such a place? Ning Shu frowned. She was afraid that this was not a good place. If Yi Lin didn't come here by himself, then he might have been caught and brought here. This was a bit interesting. The whole world probably knew that Yi Lin was her disciple, and Yi Lin might be caught for her. She destroyed 5 cities single-handedly. Destroying cities felt good for a while, but the subsequent chain reaction appeared. This place was so high-end and classy. It was probably some supreme ruler of this land, so they had to go against a powerful organization? In this way, she was indeed a big devil. She was a devil, and everyone had the right to kill her. As her disciple, Yi Lin would definitely be in trouble. With Yi Lin's current strength, he could definitely deal with ordinary people, but if experts were to come, it would definitely be impossible. Ning Shu. She came here to wait for her disciple's filial piety, thinking that her disciple must have found a lot of soul fluid during this period. But now things might become like this. Yi Lin was used as bait to lure her out. Why did these people like to do this kind of thing? They said it as if she would go and save him if they caught him. Alright, she really had to save him. At the very least, he had to give Yi Lin some time to grow. He couldn't let him die. Ning Shu landed and sat on the tree branch. He took out a few soul stones and threw them on the ground. Earthworms could sense the presence of soul stones within a certain range. He wondered if this skill still existed. If he followed Yi Lin, he would probably be able to drink soul fluid every day. He wouldn't have to waste his time searching for soul fluid. If he didn't advance, he would regress, and the functions that he didn't use would naturally disappear. Hopefully, this bastard's function won't disappear so quickly. Ning Shu shook his legs and waited for the earthworm to appear. Would the earthworm also be caught? Why didn't they dig into the ground when they were in danger? After a while, the layer of soil next to the soul stone moved. The earthworm stuck its head out and looked around. When it saw the soul stone, it looked up and saw Ning Shu. It immediately said, "You're finally here." Ning Shu jumped down from the tree and asked, "What's the situation? Don't tell me that someone is chasing you." Yi Lin has been caught. They've set up a trap and are waiting for me to save him. Earthworm. You've told me everything. What else can I say? It's still the same. You'll save him, right? Those people are very strong. They caught him in one round. Ning Shu rubbed his chin. Sure enough, that was the case. Poor they. I heard that they were caught by the Heavenly Defense Alliance. Ning Shu, what the hell is the Heavenly Defense Alliance? This name was indeed a little awesome. It's an alliance formed by several powerful sections. They patrol the world on behalf of the heavens and take it as their responsibility to protect the world, said the earthworm. Yi Lin always goes to find soul fluid. When he comes across any refined soul fluid, he destroys it. Someone probably went to the Heavenly Defense Alliance to complain. That's why they caught him. Sometimes, the truth was in the hands of a few people. No one knew what Yi Lin did to the world. Instead, he became a villain who destroyed the world's peace. Of course, It couldn't be ruled out that it was because of her. After all, Yi Lin was her disciple. In this world, don't even think about having a kind look. Ning Shu wanted to shed a tear of sympathy for Yi Lin. She could wander around this world and leave, but Yi Lin had to live in this world forever. When people saw him, they would say, "Ah, that's the devil's disciple." Ye Lin probably had the urge to tear her apart. Of course, as the protagonist, he had to face the difficulties, even if no one understood. Tiske, he was really a lonely hero. "Are you going to save him?" "Those people are still torturing him," said the earthworm anxiously. "Yi Lin can't die. If he dies, I'll starve to death." If he counted on this vicious two-legged monster to have some soul stones, it would have starved to death. Yi Lin would let it eat until it was full every time. The two of them were cooperating more and more tacitly. Yi Lin would protect it every time, unlike the vicious woman who squeezed it every day and killed its liren. They were both two-legged monsters. Why was the difference between them so big? But the Heavenly Defense Alliance is so strong. I can't beat them. In any case, they were from the second world. They weren't as easy to deal with as those from the first world. Moreover, they were an alliance of several sections. They couldn't be careless. Then are you going to abandon Yi Lin? Thanks to Yi Lin's hard work collecting soul fluid for you and finding purple crystals for you. Don't you feel guilty? Now that he's in trouble, you're not helping. You're really a vicious two-legged monster. Ning Shu was speechless. I have something to do. I have to go. Ning Shu touched the hotwood law imprint. There was no energy left. He had to absorb energy. These people from the Heavenly Defense Alliance didn't dare to touch Yi Lin. They would probably suffer a bit, but their lives wouldn't be in danger. They wanted to use Yi Lin as a hostage. They were also afraid to kill him. The earthworm was stunned. Its little eyes were full of disbelief. You actually ran away. I despise you. Ning Shu opened the black hole. He ignored the earthworm and disappeared. The earthworm cursed and hurriedly dragged the soul stone into the ground. The people here were too strong. If it didn't cooperate with Yi Lin, it would be difficult for it to win. What kind of people were these? Its disciple was captured and tortured, but this bastard ran away. Some two-legged monsters were vicious and selfish. Ning Shu left Nine Palace Mountain and went directly to Wood City. As soon as he entered Wood City, the wood law imprint ferociously absorbed the green dots full of vitality. After absorbing for a while, the absorption speed slowed down. The small water droplets reappeared on the green leaves, rolling and shining. After absorbing enough energy, Ning Shu returned to the second world. He heard the earthworm eating the soul stone and cursing him. Ning Shu's face was expressionless. He felt that the earthworm needed to be stepped on again. Come out. Ning Shu stomped the ground. Chapter 2591. Earthworm crawled out of the ground and saw Ning Shu. He immediately said, "Are you going to save him?" "Yes, I'm going to save him." "Where is he locked up?" Earthworm shook his head. "I don't know. There are rays everywhere. Even if I'm in the ground, I'll be detected. I don't know where he is locked up." Ning Shu touched his chin. It seemed that it was a bit difficult. He could only go to the door and ask for him. Hey. Earthworm was brought up into the air. We won't be able to gain anything by going there directly. Those people are really strong. Ning Shu said, "Then what do you think we should do?" "I'm not going." Ning Shu flew over in the majestic Heavenly Defense League. It looked even more majestic up close. Immortal chi lingered around it. It was like a fairyland. As soon as Ning Shu got close, the array sensed him. Immediately, a disciple came out and stared at Ning Shu. How dare you break into the Heavenly Defense League? Ning Shu flipped his hair. Hey, aren't you waiting for me? Why don't you recognize me? Go and report to the elders that the red-robed witch is here. Ning Shu was speechless. Do you think I can't hear you? The red-robed witch? Ning Shu waited at the door and used his mental power to scan, but it was reflected by the array. There were so many arrays in this place. Those who played with arrays were all rich people. The array core needed to be protected from rare and precious things. Only then could the array be powerful. Ning Shu stood there and waited leisurely, but the disciple opposite him was so nervous that his whole body was trembling. Ning Shu thought it was quite interesting. Was she so notorious in this world that these people were so afraid of her? She destroyed the city and killed the city lord. She didn't do anything to the others, but now she looked like a murderous demon. The commoners in the city were all living well. A group of people came out in a hurry. These people were very powerful. They didn't even make a move, but their pressure alone distorted the air. There was also a familiar face. It was the man he met when he destroyed the city. His white clothes fluttered in the wind, but he was a chatterbox. Ning Shu greeted him. "We meet again. What are you doing here? Are you here to destroy the house?" The man asked gracefully. Ning Shu smiled and rebuked. "Shouldn't you know very well what you're doing here? I, on the other hand, only have this one disciple. I treat him like a treasure and can't bear to see him lose a single hair." Ning Shu nonchalantly said. The earthworm vomited and almost vomited out the soul stone it had just eaten. It was too disgusting. "Oh, so what does it have to do with us?" Ning Shu's complexion turned ugly. "You were just waiting for me, but now you're not admitting it. How boring. Return my precious disciple to me, and I'll take my people and leave immediately. Furthermore, you will have to compensate my disciple with some soul fluid. I have suffered an undeserved calamity for no reason." If he didn't act tough, he would have thought that she was afraid. The man shook his head. "That's not right. First of all, your disciple was in the wrong. Not only did he steal the soul fluid, he even destroyed a village. He's really inherited you perfectly." Ning Shu immediately smiled proudly. He still has a lot to learn from the same lineage. Don't praise him like this in the future, or he'll become arrogant. The man was speechless. He was playing the lute to a cow. He was deeply helpless against this kind of demon who couldn't tell right from wrong. Instead of being ashamed, she was proud of it. "Autumn Frost, why are you saying so much to her? Do you expect a beast to understand human language? People like her who threaten the stability of the world should just be killed." A tall man spoke in a low, muffled voice. His face was covered with a full beard. He looked at Ning Shu with eyes full of disgust. Ning Shu said, "Thank you for saying that I'm beautiful. Not every woman could afford to be called a demoness. You can call her whatever you want, she doesn't care at all." The bearded man's eyes widened. He had never seen such a shameless person. He originally thought that she would fly into a rage out of humiliation and start a fight. He had a fiery temper. The others in the alliance wanted to take her into the Heavenly Defense Alliance. They said that it was better to take her in to protect the world than to let her harm the world. He didn't want to accept such an arrogant and incorrigible demoness who had destroyed several cities in one go. She would be like a piece of rat poop that would spoil the Heavenly Defense Alliance's pot of soup. She would also affect the reputation of the Heavenly Defense Alliance. People like her should be killed as a warning to others. Let those bad guys fear the Heavenly Defense Alliance so that they would think twice before doing bad things. Ning Shu directly said, "Hand over my disciple. Did you ask for my permission to detain my people like this?" "Miss, what you said is wrong," the man called Autumn Frost said again. Ning Shu crossed her arms and was very speechless. What's wrong with me? Was he trying to teach her a political lesson? Was he trying to change her mind? First of all, your disciple made a mistake and was taken to the Heavenly Defense Alliance to educate him. Second, the Heavenly Defense Alliance's responsibility is to supervise the world. If someone breaks the law, the Heavenly Defense Alliance will take care of it. Ning Shu stared at Autumn Frost. This was the most talkative male lead Ning Shu had ever seen. People said that villains died because they talked too much. This was the first time he had seen a protagonist this talkative. So, it was the Heavenly Defense Alliance's idea to raise people and refine their souls into soul fluid? Ning Shu asked. Yes, this way we can protect those who can't cultivate and deal with souls. Ning Shu applauded. You guys are so great. The Heavenly Defense Alliance is responsible for the world. A witch like you won't understand. The bearded man looked at Ning Shu with disdain. Ning Shu asked, will the soul fluid from those cities be offered to the Heavenly Defense Alliance? There was a moment of silence. Ning Shu immediately understood. You say it's for the world, but what you're protecting is just a group of interests. They said that the world should be able to cultivate. As for ordinary people, they were like animals waiting to be slaughtered. What world? It was a bit disgusting to hear it. Miss, you're wrong. Any sect needs benefits to be able to survive. Without benefits, a sect will quickly collapse. When people can get what belongs to them and also do good things for the world, this is a win-win situation. Autumn Frost shook her head. Miss, you're too narrow-minded. Ning Shu dug her ears. He was really chattering nonstop, just like the head of teaching. Ning Shu certainly knew that interests were the root of everything. Companies, groups, institutions, and organizations would go bankrupt if they didn't make a profit. But these weren't the reasons for the Heavenly Defense Alliance. They supervised the world on behalf of the heavens. What qualifications did they have to represent the heavens? Did these people know what the heavens were thinking? She was here to save people, not to listen to these long-winded arguments. Chapter 2592. Ning Shu's expression did not look good. She suspected that Qiu Han would always be on the side of justice before every fight. When the other side could not wait any longer, he would always stand on the side of justice. Well, the one who started the fight was always in the wrong. Ning Shu looked at Autumn Han and thought, Yora has been protagonist now. It seemed that when Yi Lin's strength decreased, he would be right sooner or later. Ning Shu said lightly, I want to see my disciple. I can't not let him see me. Of course. Autumn Han asked someone to bring Yi Lin over. When Yi Lin came over, his face was pale and his lips were colorless. He looked very weak. Although there were no wounds on his body, his spirit must have been devastated. Ning Shu suddenly felt that Yi Lin was like a child from a special school. Because the child was rebellious and disobedient, the Heavenly Defense League had to educate him. These people must have tortured Yi Lin's spirit. The pain of the spirit was 100 times worse than the pain of the body. Yi Lin called Ning Shu weakly. Ning Shu glanced at him and focused on the people of the Heavenly Defense League. You tortured my disciple. My disciple can discipline himself. Why do I need you to do it? No matter how wrong my child is, it's not up to you to punish him. How I educate him is my own business. Autumn Han shook her head. In the end, you don't know your mistake. You and your disciple caused a great panic. You destroyed houses and killed people. You made it impossible for ordinary people to survive. Don't talk nonsense with me. Who killed ordinary people is robbing. My disciple and I found people who made soul fluid. You think you're great for imprisoning souls. You didn't even let the souls of the dead go. How great can you be? Ning Shu said coldly. Don't use the excuse of the world. I can say I'm doing it for the world. Who wasn't a little princess? I'm in charge of the afterlife. It doesn't make sense. Autumn Han said helplessly. Hundreds of formations in the Heavenly Defense Alliance were activated, and the entire alliance was trapped in a barrier. Ning Shu instantly felt that there were countless powerful things facing him, and his hair stood on end. He had no doubt that this power could blast his soul into smithereens. Even Ning Shu didn't dare to go head-on against such superimposed powers. If his soul was injured, he would be the one suffering. Ning Shu pointed his finger at Yi Lin and used a barrier to wrap Yi Lin. When they fought later, he would not be hurt, and the barrier also had the effect of invisibility. Yi Lin, who was wrapped in a barrier, became invisible. Ning Shu flew over. Autumn Frost's lightning struck the barrier, and it broke with a pop. Yi Lin, who was inside, was also struck by lightning. His hair immediately stood on end, and black smoke came out of his mouth. But he was not dead yet. Ning Shu set up several more barriers around Yi Lin. He took out the ruby ring and shot a ray of time at Autumn Han. Autumn Han had to dodge the ray, and could only let Yi Lin float to Ning Shu's side. When Ye Lin came to her side, Ning Shu hurriedly dripped a drop of green water into his body so that his condition would be better. Autumn Han used a magic tool to block the ray, But under the corrosion of time, the magic tool immediately dimmed and became useless. Autumn Han frowned and felt a little powerless. She felt that something was going to happen to this world. It had been peaceful before, but now these two troublemakers had appeared, and the whole world was in chaos. The order had collapsed. But this red-clothed woman was so powerful, and they couldn't find her origin. It was as if she had just appeared out of nowhere. Her strength was not bad. Many people couldn't do anything to her. Autumn Han felt that the world was going to change, and this made her feel very uneasy. She hadn't felt like this for a long time. But she had to admit that this uneasy feeling came from this master and disciple. You dare to behave so atrociously in the Heavenly Defense Alliance? You've got guts. The bearded man shouted angrily, and he slashed at Ning Shu with his axe. His powerful aura caused the surrounding spirit energy to become chaotic. Ning Shu took out his saber and slashed at the bearded man without dodging. I've been wanting to teach you a lesson for a long time. She was a demoness or something. All of them wanted to judge her. Big Beard, you're so sloppy. The Heavenly Defense Alliance established order, but the world didn't need it now. So, people had to rebel against it and overthrow it. Ning Shu wanted to vomit blood for Yi Lin. He was following the will of the heavens for the sake of everyone's souls, but no one in the world would understand him. This was because some people were used to being enslaved, and they wouldn't resist. To them, peace and stability were more important than anything else. After living a mediocre life, they would only look at things from the perspective of their own benefits. Harming their short-term benefits would lead to all kinds of slander. But the world gave you this responsibility. No matter what was ahead, you had to go through a mountain of blades and a sea of fire. It felt like the main character of Nine Palace Mountain wasn't the same as those existences in the other planes. They were willing to sacrifice for the world, and they could be abandoned by the world at any time. When the saber and axe touched, a huge sound wave was emitted, causing the air to distort. Crack! The axe's blade cracked, and soon, the axe's surface was full of cracks. Finally, with a crack, the axe shattered. The bearded man's eyes were like copper bells. The axe was a power-type divine weapon, but it was destroyed by a saber today. The divine weapon almost screamed and shattered into pieces. Ning Shu's sword didn't stop, and he slashed at the bearded man's neck. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning fell from the sky and hit Ning Shu's saber. The power of the lightning passed through the saber and into Ning Shu's body. Ning Shu suddenly felt as if her soul was about to explode, like fireworks exploding. It was extremely uncomfortable, as painful as being pricked by needles. Ning Shu's hair was burned into an afro, and he spat out a mouthful of black smoke. Because of the power of the lightning, the wood nomological imprint on his hand throbbed slightly. Clearly, it was affected by the power of the lightning. It was very swollen, and Ning Shu was afraid that the nomological imprint would suddenly collapse. Because of Autumn Frost's help, the bearded man successfully dodged Ning Shu's attack, saving his life. He said to Autumn Frost, "Thank you, boss." Autumn Frost's face was pale. "Don't be so rash in the future." He had suffered a backlash. When he slashed at Yi Lin, he suffered a backlash. When he slashed at the red-dressed woman, he suffered another backlash. The tribulation cloud seemed to be getting out of control, like a wild horse frantically tugging at its reins, trying to escape. He was clearly stronger than before, but the tribulation cloud was no longer under his control. /BK Chapter 2593. Especially recently, the tribulation clouds had become more and more restless. Today, both master and disciple had been struck by lightning. Ning Shu looked at the thundering Autumn Han and cursed in his heart. So what if you can play with lightning? Ning Shu felt that he would never be able to comprehend the law of lightning in his life. After all, his body had the law of wood, which could not withstand the violent power of lightning. Ning Shu combed his fluffy hair and said, "The Heavenly Defense Alliance is really shameless. I was fighting with this bearded man, but you sneak attacked me from behind." Autumn Han shook her head with a pale face and said, "You are wrong again. Who said that the Heavenly Defense Alliance can't sneak attack from behind?" Well, whatever the Heavenly Defense Alliance says. Ning Shu took out the ruby ring and pointed it at the array formation floating in the air. It felt like countless guns were pointed at her, ready to turn her into a hornet's nest at any time. All the arrays that were hit by the light of time became much dimmer. Some of the weaker arrays directly collapsed, but the stronger ones could still operate. The arrays operated and shot out tens of thousands of swords at Ning Shu, wrapping Ning Shu with the swords and sabers. The tips of the swords were densely packed and aimed at Ning Shu from all directions. Ning Shu directly stretched out her vines and wrapped them around the swords. The swords seemed to have their own consciousness, avoiding the entanglement of the vines and constantly attacking Ning Shu. In addition to these swords, the people of the Heavenly Defense Alliance swarmed and surrounded Ning Shu. Ning Shu not only had to dodge these swords, but also had to fight with so many experts of the Heavenly Defense Alliance. Even the tentacle monster was a little distracted. Moreover, the people of the Heavenly Defense Alliance were quite disgusted with the demoness Ning Shu, so they directly used their strongest attacks. Ning Shu held the big saber and wildly slashed at these people, breaking many of the Heavenly Defense Alliance's elders' spirit weapons. Everyone was shocked. What kind of weapon was this? The spirit weapons used by their elders were divine weapons, the best weapons. They did not expect such a big saber to be cut into pieces. How could he be so powerful? Yi Lin was burning with anxiety inside the barrier. So many people were ganging up on his master. The Heavenly Defense Alliance was really shameless. The earthworm was lying on Yi Lin's shoulder, but it wasn't worried at all. During this period of time, it was worried about Yi Lin. It couldn't eat or sleep well, and the worm had lost weight. As for the two-legged monster, no one could do anything about it. From the moment they saw her, she was the one bullying others. Even if she was bullied, she would definitely run away. Most importantly, she had killed its Liren. Yi Lin hated himself for being so weak. He felt that he should be very powerful after cultivating Qijin, but he still couldn't fight back against the Heavenly Defense Alliance. Why don't you strike me again? Ning Shu pointed his saber at Autumn Frost. She had already been struck several times, again and again. Every time the lightning tribulation struck, the vines would tremble. Coupled with the fact that she had been struck several times, the Woodlaw imprint had become scalding hot. Ning Shu was afraid that the Woodlaw imprint would collapse. She was used to the two laws complementing each other. If one of them was gone, her strength would be greatly reduced. Although she felt that being a wet nurse was hard, it was even harder to be a wet nurse without the ability to do so. If you have the ability, come and strike me with the 9 heavens god. You can kill me with one strike. Aren't you tired of striking me continuously? Ning Shu provoked. Autumn Frost's face became paler, but her white robe was still fluttering. You speak as if you are provoking me. You don't dare, right? Your tribulation clouds are going out of control. The more you keep it, the greater the backlash. Every time you use it to attack, you will lose some control over it. Ning Shu laughed and flew up into the clouds with Yi Lin. A lot of vines gushed out and rushed towards the majestic building. Since they were here, they would destroy the Heavenly Defense Alliance's nest. She couldn't go against so many people to protect Yi Lin, but the Heavenly Defense Alliance's prestige would be greatly damaged if she destroyed it. You still can't change a dog's shit. Every time you go, you will tear down buildings. Autumn Frost saw the vines covering the entire Heavenly Defense Alliance. The dark clouds in the sky were getting lower and lower, and the clouds were crackling with lightning. A huge pressure came from the tribulation clouds. Ning Shu raised her head to look at the sky. Something terrifying was brewing. All the self-cultivators present couldn't help but shudder when they saw the tribulation clouds. Ning Shu looked at the pale Autumn Frost. You didn't really summon the 9 heavens god thunder, did you? If they were struck, they would definitely die. Of course, as you wish. Autumn Frost's white robe fluttered. If I let you leave, how will the Heavenly Defense Alliance have the face to patrol on behalf of heaven? How can you be so shameless as to take heaven's place? Have you ever thought about heaven's feelings? Ning Shu said as she looked up at the sky. The thick, dark tribulation clouds were rolling, and the pressure was getting stronger and stronger, making it hard for people to breathe. It was as if a monster that could devour the world would come out of the clouds in the next second. Damn, she was so powerful. She was also a main character, but why didn't her disciple have anything awesome? Could it be that he was affected by her negative character as his master? There was a low rumbling sound of thunder in the clouds. Ning Shu quickly wriggled her vines and destroyed everything that could be destroyed. She had to run away before the ninth heaven divine thunder descended. This was the highest level of tribulation lightning. If it struck him, he wouldn't be able to keep his wood law imprint. Ning Shu quickly put away his vines and looked at the rolling tribulation clouds. He opened a black hole and quickly entered it. Goodbye. You can enjoy the lightning yourselves. At the same time, there was a loud bang and the whole world shook. A thick purple lightning struck the place where Ning Shu disappeared. A huge crater appeared on the ground. Under the collision of power, some of the Heavenly Defense Alliance's buildings began to collapse. Autumn Frost spat out a mouthful of blood. She had paid a huge price to summon the Nine Heavens God Thunder, but her opponent had run away. She had run away right under her nose. The lightning was as painful as if it had hit his body. His body crackled with lightning, and his expression was pained. Alliance leader, are you okay? Everyone saw him in pain and immediately asked. Of course, some people were happy because if Autumn Frost died, the Heavenly Defense Alliance would be disbanded. At that time, the sects would be able to compete for more resources and land, as well as good seedlings for cultivation. The Heavenly Defense Alliance was formed by several sections. They each had their own way of doing things and were not monolithic. If there had to be an organization to describe it, it would be the United Nations. Autumn Frost used her own strength to suppress the restless sects and families. She made the world have rules and it was very peaceful. Of course, this peace sacrificed ordinary powerless people. /BK, you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.